Chapter 1. Long'an City was located in the south of China. It was a flourishing and free second-tier city. Right now, it was currently summer, the leaves of the trees were swaying, and young men and women who were wearing trendy clothes were walking in the streets, injecting fresh blood into this steel city. When the curtain of night descended, the entire city blossomed with gorgeous colors, causing people to be intoxicated. Living in this era sure is good. In Long'an City, there was a very special bar. It was opened in a remote alley. There was basically no flow of people, but the strange thing was, there was a very long queue outside of this bar, and looking at the gender of the queue, females occupied 80% of the queue. Raising their heads, they could see the signboard of the bar. Bar. Within the queue, many young girls were discussing in low voices. Sigh, I wonder if the boss will come today. I really want to take a look at him. I am willing to die. Whether the boss comes or not depends on his mood. If his mood is good, he will even mix a glass of wine. Last time, there was a lucky person who drank that glass of wine and fainted on the spot from happiness. Seems like you guys are new. This bar's boss is not only a powerful bartender, he is also a magician. I saw with my own eyes that the blue flame was dancing on his palm. It was like a fairy. That's right, I will never forget that day in my entire life. The boss's face under the illumination of the blue flame, simply too sorry. I can't think of any words to describe the boss's good looks. It would be great if I can have a relationship beyond friendship with the boss. My saliva is about to flow out. Beauty, I advise you not to think about it. I heard that the boss has a very serious obsession with cleanliness and wants clean women. Damn, how am I not clean? I think you are the one who is not clean. The noise immediately erupted outside of the bar, and soon after, it evolved into a one-on-one fight, grabbing and pulling each other's hair. However, the males who were lining up at the side had a feast for their eyes. They did not come here to look at the boss, because there were the most females here, which meant that there would be more opportunities. However, inside the bar, beautiful light music was being played, well-known oil paintings were hung on the surrounding walls, and under the illumination of the yellow wall lamps, the oil paintings appeared very unique. Most of the people thought that those well-known oil paintings were definitely fake. Who would place real oil paintings in a bar? This was not the main point. The main point was that all of the females were absent-minded. Their gazes would look towards the staircase from time to time, hoping for the sound of leather shoes to ring out. Unfortunately, when they waited until midnight, the boss still did not appear, and they could only leave in disappointment. Ask your boss to come out. I've waited for 3 nights, but I haven't even seen a single strand of hair. Isn't it just a man? I'll keep you for 5 million. A gorgeously dressed woman couldn't help but stand up and shout angrily. She was quite pretty, but the powder on her face was a little thick, and with her agitation, some of it had fallen off. Madam, please don't make too much noise. A security guard strode over and said politely. The beautiful woman snorted. I'm just being noisy. Wasn't it just money? I don't lack money. Call your boss out, or I'll tear this place down. At this moment, the sound of steady footsteps came from the staircase. All the women looked in that direction. Just a black leather shoe was enough to make the women in the bar scream. When the entire person appeared, the bar became silent, and countless sounds of saliva being swallowed rang out. It wasn't men, it was women. He was dressed in a black suit with a white shirt inside. His collar was open, giving people a feeling of unrestrained freedom. He wore a silver ring on his right index finger, which was engraved with strange runes. His pitch-black eyes were even more attractive to women. His whole face was incomparably distinct. Everything was so perfect, without a single blemish. With just a glance, people would be deeply immersed in his charm. Now, they finally believed that there was really such a perfect man in this world. If this boss was an open-minded man, that would be the luckiest thing for all the women. Unfortunately, this man's personality was cold. It was very rare to see him smile, and he was even more disdainful towards beautiful women. The beautiful woman swallowed her saliva with all her might. Indeed, he's just like what the rumors say, handsome to the extreme. No, Handsome shouldn't be used, this has already exceeded the scope of handsome. I heard that you were looking for me. Yihua slowly walked to the front of the woman, and the latter only felt as if a huge mountain was pressing down on her, and she basically didn't dare to look straight at that pair of pitch-black eyes. Where was the arrogance that the beautiful woman had just now? She trembled as she stretched out her right hand and said while stuttering, This is 5 million, I want. What do you want? Yihua asked lightly. This tone of his seemed to have a demonic nature, causing people to feel fear in their hearts. The beautiful woman used all of her strength and said, I want to provide for you. After hearing that, Yihua did not have the slightest bit of emotion. After sizing up the woman, he said faintly, Your nose has been moved, the corners of your eyes have been opened, your chin is not bad, and this chest is real. Take a look at your body, which part can make me excited? The beautiful woman's beautiful eyes opened wide, as if she had seen a ghost, and she retreated step by step. The check that was in her hand fell onto the ground powerlessly, just like her body. When she was retreating, she accidentally fell and sat on the ground. Finally, she couldn't bear the blow in her heart and cried like a child. No one had ever doubted her beauty and seductiveness, but now, how many has it been already? I'm not sure. In any case, as long as the boss appears, there will always be a woman that wants to find stimulating women. Just like me, I have self-knowledge, and I will be fine after enjoying my eyes. Ha, me too, this kind of man is definitely not something that we can control. Yihua didn't even take a look at the beautiful woman and said to the security guard, Pull her out, she is an eyesore. Okay, boss. The security guard was a bit incoherent. Every time I see the boss, I will be very nervous. Don't think wrongly, this kind of nervousness is just pure fear. After a long time, all of the customers in the bar left. Yihua walked into the bar counter and mixed a strange wine for himself. The color of the wine was dark green, and within the wine, there was even a streak of scarlet red, just like a strand of hair that was revolving around the wine glass. The waitresses who were cleaning the bar looked at Yihua foolishly. However, one of the beautiful waitresses seemed to have made up her mind and took out a letter from her pocket. There was a red heart on the letter, and with one look, one could tell that it was a love letter. Tang Wei, don't go. The waitress who was at the side immediately spoke out to stop the girl. However, this girl called Tang Wei still walked forward bravely and arrived in front of Yihua. With both of her hands, she handed over the love letter to Yihua, and her beautiful face slightly drooped down, not daring to look straight at Yihua. Yihua took a look indifferently, then placed his gaze back onto the wine glass. Boss. The girl's voice was very pleasant to listen to, and her appearance was also not bad. White skin, exquisite facial features, if placed in school, she would be a school belle. In actuality, she was the school belle, and was just working part-time here. Newcomer? Yihua asked indifferently. Tang Wei went into a daze for a moment, then lowered her head and answered. Chapter 2. Tang Wei's hands were trembling, and tears of grievance slid down from her cheeks one after another. At school, I am the goddess in all of the boys' hearts, but at this place, the boss doesn't even look at me straight in the eyes. Am I that ugly? Boss, Tang Wei didn't do it on purpose, please forgive her this time, she really needs this job. The girl who spoke out to stop the boss just now ran up and pleaded for leniency. It seemed like the two of them were good friends. There are a lot of people who need to work. Yihua said faintly, and he still didn't move his gaze away. Boss, Tang Wei's family is poor, and she looks very outstanding. Every time she goes to work, she would be harassed. I was the one who introduced her here. Boss, I beg of you, don't chase Tang Wei away. Yihua's gaze finally moved and looked coldly at the girl who was pleading for leniency. Do you think that this is a shelter? The girl didn't dare to answer and kept her head lowered. If it was yesterday, Yihua would have mercilessly chased them away. However, not knowing why, Yihua's mood today was pretty good. Don't let this happen again. Yihua said lightly. For the first time ever, he showed mercy. Tang Wei quickly thanked the boss. "Thank you, boss." Tang Wei choked with sobs as she shouted. "Go and work, wait a minute." Yi Hua suddenly called out to Tang Wei, who was about to turn around and leave. Tang Wei thought that her boss had changed his mind. "Take your things away. They're an eyesore." The tears that the girl had just held back instantly burst out again. She picked up the love letter on the table and put it in her arms. She cried while cleaning. At this time, a middle-aged security guard came in front of Tang Wei. His name was Wei Chang, and he was the head of security here. He looked very resolute, and belonged to the category of handsome uncle. Wei Chang handed over a piece of tissue and comforted him. "Lil Tang, don't do such a stupid thing in the future. You saw what happened to that woman just now." "Uncle Wei, what kind of woman does the boss like?" Tang Wei choked with sobs as she asked. "Xiao Wei, I have been working here for a few years, and it was only 3 years ago that I saw the boss bringing a woman upstairs, and that woman, it's not that Uncle Wei has never seen a beautiful woman before, it's just that that woman is really very beautiful, no matter if it is temperament or figure, she is the best that Uncle Wei has ever seen." "Did that woman come again?" "Not really." Uncle Wei shook his head with a smile. "Why?" "Logically speaking, the boss should like it very much." Tang Wei Tianjin asked. "The boss's requirements for women have reached the peak, and the boss's obsession with cleanliness is even more fatal. He likes clean women, but he will never touch the same woman for a second time." Wei Chang said softly. In fact, this was not a big secret, and the old employees almost all knew about it. The girl immediately knew what she had done wrong. She nodded in disappointment and secretly glanced at the boss. He was really charming. Wei Chang sighed softly. At this point, whether or not he could keep this high-paying job depended on his luck. Yi Hua spun the wine glass. He had heard all of their conversation, but he didn't pay much attention to it. Because what Wei Chang said was very right, I am a picky man, just that, recently, I have been talking more than usual. It had been 5 years since he came to this world. Thinking back to the past, he was no longer filled with hatred. As an undead, he had gone from a fearful and insignificant figure to an invincible killing god. In the end, he had become the enemy of the entire human race, causing all the Supreme Being experts to join forces and activate the forbidden spells of various elements to kill him and his subordinates. What was laughable was that he did not die at all. After coming to this world, what was even more laughable was that not only did he not die, he even possessed the abilities of those supreme beings and became a supreme being. After creating flesh and blood from his original skeleton body, with his current strength, he would definitely be able to kill his way back. However, he had already lost interest in doing so. In his eyes, those supreme beings were nothing more than salted fish. Perhaps, saying that they were salted fish was overestimating them. After living so many years of bloody life, it was time for me to take a few years of vacation and understand the complicated thing called human nature. It was a pity that the humans in this world were too weak, even a breath of air would be able to destroy them. As for why he chose to take a vacation here, it was because this place was peaceful and quiet. Occasionally, I would be able to meet a woman of good quality. I met one 3 years ago. In the past, I was a skeleton and couldn't experience it, but now that I have flesh and blood, I can be considered to have experienced it for myself. The feeling was not bad, but it was a pity that I lost interest after touching her once. In actuality, it is not difficult to find this kind of woman, as long as I touch her once, it will be fine. However, if I do that, it will be boring. It will become controllable, and there will not be a sudden feeling of freshness. Calculating the time, it has been a long time since I have tasted something new. I don't know how many more years I have to wait. If I wait until I get impatient, I will just burn everything and change to another place to rest. Yi Hua was such a person. As an undead, his humanity had long been extinguished. If not for staying here for 5 years and nurturing a bit of humanity within him, that woman who offended him just now would have long become the residue in the air. Madam, you cannot go in, the shop is already closed. Just as Yi Hua was pondering, the sound of the security guard could be heard from the door. Closed? Why didn't I see it? Get out of my way. The corner of Yi Hua's eyebrows slightly twitched. Although this woman's tone was ice-cold, her voice was as smooth as jade, and it could be considered to have reached my standards. Madam, it is really closed. The sound of high heels stepping out was very rhythmic. This was something that ordinary women would not be able to do. I have received etiquette training, the above 2 points are still considered to be to my liking. I don't know how the other aspects are, but to think that the security guard did not stop her and even let her in. Seems like the security guard does not dare to touch this woman. This woman has a bit of grandeur, not bad. The sound was getting closer and closer. Yi Hua raised his head and looked. This woman is really not bad, every aspect of her has reached my standards. Cleanliness, temperament, grandeur, and of course, background. As for how to see through her background, it would have to depend on what she is wearing. If I did not see wrongly, this woman is wearing a black diamond evening gown designed by Debbie Wenham. With this designer's reputation, the price of the evening gown should be $5.6 million. So, it was bought by her. This is a bit interesting. The watch that she is wearing should be from the Earl's Extraordinary Rarity series, 18K white gold, embedded with 429 round diamonds and 80 square diamonds. Under the illumination of the lights, it was dazzling and eye-catching. The price should be around 10 million renminbi. The high heels that she is wearing were black. I have never seen them before. I reckon that they are custom-made. The high heels are embedded with quiet diamonds. The price should be around $1 million. The lady's bag that she is holding should be Lana's marks. Handmade with silver metallic crocodile skin, the bag is embedded with 1,500 black and white small diamonds. This limited edition bag is still the favorite of those presidents' wives. The price should be around $1 million. The main point is that necklace, it is the most valuable one. I remember that I saw it on a magazine 2 years ago. The necklace was called Christie's Diamond. All of the diamonds that were used were all high-quality white diamonds. There was a total of 52 of them, and the total weight was 104.84 carat. I remember that the transaction price of the necklace was $8.14 million. Chapter 3. Just this outfit of hers alone, if it was an old man, it would be worth close to 100 million. This is the equivalent of walking on the road with a banknote. Just based on this point, Yi Hua admired this woman a lot. I remember that woman from 3 years ago. Her entire outfit was worth more than 100 million. Oh right, that woman wore a ring on her index finger, but this one didn't. If she wore a ring too, it would also be worth more than 100 million. It seemed that he could have a taste of it tonight. Let her in. Yi Hua shouted out lightly. The security guard took a few steps back. The woman snorted and walked toward the bar counter. This woman's appearance was very standard. Her eyes were clear like water, and her skin was white and translucent like expensive white diamonds. The curves of her figure were quite perfect, and her entire temperament was beautiful yet cold, gorgeous yet cold. Yi Hua couldn't help but compare this woman with the woman from 3 years ago. The difference between the two women was not that big. If I really want to find a flaw, the previous one had already been touched by me, and this one is still clean. However, looking at the woman's attire, she should be attending some kind of banquet or event. Looking at her cheeks, which were a little red, she probably drank a little. Looking at the man at the bar counter, Qingya's brows slightly wrinkled. To think that there would really be such a perfect-looking boss. I thought that the boss was just boasting to me by that group of people that I met just now. Elegantly sitting on the high chair, Qingya placed the handbag in her hand at the side and coldly looked at the strange man in front of her. Qingya discovered that from the moment this man saw her, there wasn't any change in his facial expression. This is a little unimaginable, however. I have seen this kind of man many times, he is just playing hard to get, that's all. A man and a woman of the same attribute were looking at each other as if they were comparing who was colder. This kind of situation was really rare. Xiao Wei, stop looking and focus on your work. I finally know where I am lacking. Tang Wei seemed to be feeling very inferior, compared to this woman, I am just like an ugly duckling. Finally, Qingye couldn't bear it anymore and asked, do you have wine? Yihua lightly pushed out the wine that he had mixed and said faintly, please. Qingye shifted her gaze towards the wine cup, and was attracted by a bright red silk-like thing inside the wine cup. Originally, she thought that it was a disgusting bug, but after taking a closer look, she discovered that it was actually a liquid. This cup of wine is called death, and when you taste it, you will be able to feel the taste of death. Yihua said lightly. Qingye sneered. What death, it is nothing more than a gimmick. Die. I do have such an idea. Then this glass of wine will definitely satisfy your needs. Qingye stretched out her delicate arm, picked up the wine cup, and drank it in one gulp. In an instant, everything in her surroundings stopped, her body became lighter and lighter. Qingye saw that she was sitting on a bench, and the strange boss was standing in front of her. Gradually, she passed through the roof and rose into the air, overlooking the entire city. Not right. He was drinking, so why did he come here? Suddenly, Qingye opened her eyes and looked towards Yihua who was in front of her. Death is not scary, what is scary is the loneliness after death. Yihua said faintly as he took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. You drugged it. Yihua took a puff of the cigarette, then said lightly, if I really drugged you, you would have already been carried onto the bed by me. Don't worry, there isn't even any alcohol in this cup of wine. Qingye's brows were filled with suspicion. However, I indeed didn't show any signs of going crazy. You are a strange person. Qingye said gravely. However, Yihua's tone was the same as before, you are a woman who wishes to die. How so? Walking in a dark alley dressed like this, aren't you asking for death? Qingye didn't speak, and after a long while, she said, give me a cup of strong alcohol. Drinking can't solve problems, only by pouring out can one vent. Qingye shouted out, why do I have to tell you? Because you have already prepared yourself. Qingye's heart trembled. Just now, I indeed wanted to say that holding it in my heart is really uncomfortable, but I just can't bear to see this man acting as if he knows everything. Boss, we will be leaving first. Wei Chang said respectfully at the side. Yihua waved his hand, and very quickly, all the waiters left. The boss is definitely going to have a romantic night tonight. Men are envious of the boss, and women are envious of this woman who was able to obtain the boss's favor. There's no one else. Yihua said faintly, then lit up another stick of cigarette and prepared to listen to the story. Qingye took a deep breath, then said coldly, I indeed wish to die, I was forced into a marriage by my family. According to your conditions, the family background of the groom should be pretty good. Yihua deduced. This was the plot of an old-fashioned story. Qingye suddenly sneered, and here I thought that you would be able to guess it, but you are only so. Oh. Yihua suddenly became interested. I didn't expect that it wouldn't be the same old trick. He's just an ordinary person who met my grandfather with a marriage proposal. My grandfather even arranged a meeting like today. I thought it was really a business banquet, but who knew it was a blind date? This man's grandfather saved my grandfather's life on the battlefield. At that time, I was betrothed to him when I was still in my mother's womb. He even asked me to arrange a job for him in the company. But he doesn't know anything. Qingye also didn't know why she wanted to say it out. Perhaps it was just like what Yihua had said, finding a stranger to pour out her heart to would allow her to release a bit of her stress. After hearing that, Yihua laughed. I didn't expect that it would be a plot of a loser counterattacking a fair-skinned, rich, and beautiful woman, this is truly fresh. But I am not willing. Qingye clenched her fist, and her fingernails dug into her tender flesh. Yi Hua said calmly, so what if you are unwilling to accept it? Do you dare to rebel? Qingye revealed a complicated expression. Do I dare? It was obvious that he did not dare to do so. Give me a glass of wine. Yi Hua didn't take the wine and said indifferently, do you want to get drunk and get f***ed by me? Taking revenge on your family? Scram! Qingye shouted out. Why do you have to feel guilty? You are walking alone in a dark alley, don't tell me that you have never thought of the worst scenario? You have thought of it. You even thought of being violated, and thus ending your life. In actuality, being f***ed after getting drunk, one wouldn't be able to feel anything, and only by staying sober would one be able to experience the beauty of being f***ed. Could it be that you want to spend your first time in a daze? Most people wouldn't talk about this kind of thing with Qingye. If they were to be too straightforward, there was a very high chance that they would be rejected. Qingye suddenly laughed, from the moment I came in, you have been having your eyes on me, right? That's right, a woman like you is very attractive. Yi Hua said frankly, being secretive wasn't his character. This method of yours is not bad, how many times have I done it already? I want to correct a part of you, I am a picky man, I don't even want to touch ordinary women, you should feel honored. As for your problem, you are the second one. Qingye immediately let out a sweet-sounding laughter. This man sure is a bit narcissistic, but with his looks, he indeed has the capital to be narcissistic. Chapter 4. Where to? Qingye asked faintly, her heart was filled with the joy of revenge. Taking 10,000 steps back, this man is still not bad, at least he is better than a hoodlum on the street. Upstairs. Seems like you have been preparing at all times. Qingye said coldly, and she had already walked in front of Yi Hua. Of course. After all, it's hard to meet a woman like you every few years. Qingye turned around and asked curiously, then, what about your previous woman? I won't touch the same woman twice. Yi Hua said faintly. Qingye went into a slight daze. This man sure has a personality. In any case, it's just a one-night stand, after tomorrow, we won't know each other anymore. Just that, I didn't expect that I would also be like this one day. There were 3 rooms on the second floor, one was an office, one was a bedroom, and the last one was a storage room. Yi Hua reminded, the bedroom is on the right. Qingye opened the door and walked into the room. In actuality, she was still very nervous in her heart, but she also felt that it was very exciting. Ah! Suddenly, Qingye let out a shriek. A large pit bull was lying beside the bed. Following this scream, the pit bull opened its eyes and took a look. It immediately released a wave of greed, and its huge body suddenly stood up and stared at Qingye. Lai Gu, get out! Yi Hua shouted out calmly. Lai Gu, who was awe-inspiring just a moment ago, instantly became terrified and walked out of the bedroom while letting out woo-woo sounds. You're a strange person. Even your dog is strange. Qingye sat on the bed and said faintly while sizing up the bedroom. The bedroom was very clean and did not have any strange smell. There were 3 paintings hanging on the wall, causing Qingye to slightly go into a daze. Isn't boy holding tobacco pipe one of Picasso's works? And this dream is also one of Picasso's works, and there's actually this card player. These paintings of yours are fake, right? Qingye sneered. From the looks of it, this man likes to pretend a lot. Tricking a woman into his bedroom to show off, those who don't know would really be tricked by him. Yi Hua took a glance, you will have to go and ask my subordinate about this, he has a weird hobby of collecting things. What a strange hobby of collecting fakes. Yi Hua ignored her, took off his jacket, and walked towards Qingye step by step. Meanwhile, Qingye mustered up her courage and stared at Yi Hua. I, Qingye, have never been afraid of anyone before. Yi Hua could be seen pressing down on Qingye, and the latter was still fearless. Are you prepared to sacrifice your life for justice? We're just pleasing each other. Relax. Yi Hua's tone was very calm, but his hands weren't idle as he took off the expensive gown. This skin sure is good, it looks like it will break with a blow, bonus points. Yo, this underwear is not ordinary. Add more money. Relax, relax. Yi Hua said attentively as he kissed onto Qingya's alluring cherry lips, and Qingya gradually relaxed. My first kiss is gone, and my first night is also going to be gone soon. Half an hour later, Yi Hua lied on top of Qingya's body. He discovered that this woman was really unable to endure torment. This won't do, I have waited for 3 years for such a perfect woman, and I have to do it for an entire night. Who knows how many years I will have to wait for the next one. Spirit recovery. Healing. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. I remember that the last time I used magic on Qingya, I only used magic on her after an hour. Only when the sun rose did Yi Hua stop. Hugging onto Qingya who had tear stains all over her face, Yi Hua propped up his waist. Seems like my body still needs to be tempered, my waist is already a bit sore. Qingya finally knew the feeling of being a woman, it was just like sitting on a roller coaster. I was obviously already tired to death, but suddenly, I became energetic again, and just like that, the endless cycle continued. However, to be honest, this man brought me happiness, and the gloomy mood that I felt yesterday was released quite a bit. The two of them laid on the bed and slept until 6 p.m. before waking up. Qingya slightly opened her beautiful eyes, and the first thing she discovered was that she was lying in a man's embrace. Her heart trembled, but when she recalled what happened last night, she relaxed again. You woke up? Yi Hua asked faintly. Now you know the difference between drunk and not drunk, right? Yi Hua caressed onto Qingya's shoulder and asked lightly. The woman beside him, placed in this era, was something that ordinary people would not be able to imagine. Noble. Cold. Strong. This kind of woman is only interesting, and of course, there was also that alluring body under the blanket. If it was drunk, Qingya reckoned that she would have the heart to kill someone right now. However, this kind of result was something that she was willing to happen, so she did not have any regrets. What's your name? Qingya asked. I have to at least know the name of the man who took away my first time, right? Yi Hua patted onto Qingya's shoulder, then got up from the bed and put on his clothes. Is this very important? Qingya nodded her head and did not continue asking. She also stood up and put on her dress on the bed. Why does it not feel painful at all? The two of them did not say anything and walked down the stairs together. However, Yi Hua walked into the bar counter, and Qingya walked out of the bar. The one-night stand ended here. At this time, Wei Chang and Qingya brushed past each other. The current Qingya had already completely turned into an unattainable woman, every step she took was filled with the confidence of a woman. That cold expression of hers made Wei Chang sigh. Where does this ignorant human get his confidence from, boss? Wei Chang shouted respectfully. Yi Hua squinted his eyes and supported onto his chin with his right hand. The paintings that you collected were said to be fake by the second woman again. Boss, how about we burn them? Forget it, I have already gotten used to it after looking at it for a long time. We are going to open for business soon, you go and prepare. Alright, boss. Yi Hua, who was yawning, walked up to Lai Gu. Seems like I was really exhausted last night. Wei Chang laughed bitterly, the boss is becoming more and more human-like. Lai Gu, catch it. Not sure when, a ham appeared in Wei Chang's hand and he threw it towards Lai Gu. Lai Gu did not have the intention to catch it at all. He glanced at Wei Chang with his eyes slanted, then raised his head and puffed out his chest, walking towards Lai Gu with its under a look. Sigh, Lai Gu is still the same as before, he doesn't have the spirituality of a dog. Wei Chang laughed dryly. Uncle Wei, Tang Wei walked into the bar and greeted with a smile. Seems like her mood today was a lot better. Xiao Tang, you have arrived. Everyone, start working, we are going to open for business soon. Wei Chang clapped his hands and shouted loudly. If these ordinary people were to know of Wei Chang's true identity, they would definitely pee in their pants. As an undead, Yi Hua at least had the form of a skeleton, while Wei Chang was basically not a human. To be more precise, Wei Chang was a strange monster. Even Yi Hua did not know what kind of thing Wei Chang was right now. But just like that, Wei Chang joined Yi Hua's party and became one of the 7 sins. And after the final battle, Wei Chang followed Yi Hua here. And of course, that dog was also there. In actuality, Lai Gu was not a dog, but a bone dragon. Similarly, Lai Gu was also one of the 7 sins and was also Yi Hua's mount. As for why Lai Gu became a dog, Yi Hua expressed that he had never fed a dog before and wanted to give it a try. Chapter 5. Other than these 2, the whereabouts of the other 5 are unknown. I can't sense their aura at all. Perhaps, they have hidden themselves. After following me for so many years, I wonder if they have any thoughts about me now. I shall take this opportunity to slowly see. Those who should be killed will be killed, those who should be kept will be kept, everything will depend on their own luck. Every night, the bar's business would be extremely good, there were countless beauties, and there were also quite a number of men hunting for beauties. Unfortunately, the beauties were all here for the boss, they were destined to leave in disappointment. Just at the same time when the crowd dispersed, 3 Cadillac large SUVs drove over slowly. The huge car gave people a kind of strong oppressive feeling, and it was even more so when there were 3 of them. The 3 cars steadily stopped at the entrance of the bar, blocking the originally narrow alley. Quite a few youngsters started pointing at them, but when they saw the people that came down from the cars, they immediately turned around and left. There were only 3 cars left at the entrance, which was packed with people just now. A man wearing a black suit ran down from the 2 cars in front and behind, and one of them opened the door of the car in the middle. A 50+ years old man could be seen coming down from the car. Although he was 50 years old, his hair had already turned white, but his body was tall and mighty, his eyes emitted out a bright light, and below the corner of his eyes, there was a mole, adding a gloomy and cold aura to him. "Have you arranged everything?" the man said gravely, his tone carried a bit of dignity. He was called Gong Wei, everyone who knew him had to obediently call him Jiu Yi. In Longan City, he was also a well-known entrepreneur, but everyone knew what kind of business he was doing, they were just afraid of him. "Jiu Yi, everything has been arranged, they are already on the way," the henchman said carefully. Gong Wei nodded his head, looked at the entrance, took a deep breath, then walked in with large strides. The group of henchmen immediately followed behind him. "Don't come in. Stand outside," Gong Wei shouted angrily, "the one inside doesn't like that kind of thing." "Jiu Yi." The henchman who did not understand the situation shouted out worriedly, not knowing if it was sincere or not. Gong Wei glared at the latter, then pushed open the door and walked into the bar. Inside the bar, there were only the figures of beautiful waitresses cleaning. Some young security guards took the chance to strike up a conversation, and when Jiu Yi walked in, everyone's gaze shifted over. A young security guard walked forward with a polite smile. "Sorry, the bar is already closed." If it was any other time, wouldn't this be an excuse for Jiu Yi to flip out? But today was different. Jiu Yi could be seen smiling slightly. "I am looking for your boss. The boss is already resting." The security guard laughed. This kind of thing had happened many times, but it was the first time that a man came to the boss. "Little brother, I have an urgent matter. Can you make an exception?" Lord Jiu still maintained his smile, but his heart had already exploded. He was actually stopped by a small security guard. "I'm sorry." The security guard didn't care about that. On the first day, Wei Chang had said that there was no need to be afraid here. The smile on Lord Jiu's face froze. His imposing manner as a superior suddenly erupted. How could a small security guard withstand it? He was so scared that he took a step back. "What's going on?" Wei Chang walked over with a cold face. "Captain, this person is looking for the boss." Once the young security guard saw Wei Chang, he instantly had someone to rely on. Wei Chang coldly stared at Jiu Yi. There was actually someone who dared to cause trouble here. Was he tired of living? Jiu Yi slightly paused. He had heard of this person before, and immediately took out an envelope from his pocket. Wei Chang suspiciously took it, opened it, and said indifferently, "Follow me." "Many thanks," Lord Jiu said in a deep voice. His expression was respectful as he followed behind. He was still a little nervous. After Jiu Yi left, the security guards and the waiters discussed in low voices. "Fuck, you sure have guts. That is the famous Jiu Yi, you actually dared to block his path." That's right, didn't you see that we were all pretending not to see it?" After hearing that, Tang Wei asked curiously, "Is Jiu Yi very formidable?" The security guards laughed, and one of them said, "In this long city, there is nothing that Jiu Yi cannot do. But I saw that he was very respectful just now." Tang Wei pursed her lips. "It is not as mystical as what they said." "That is because our boss is more awesome." "Correct." Wei Chang led Jiu Yi to the office on the second floor. First, he knocked on the door, while Jiu Yi, who was standing at the back, was sweating profusely. He kept on taking out a handkerchief to wipe his sweat. An indifferent sound rang out from within the office. Only then did Wei Chang open the door and enter the office. Just when the door was opened, a "Grandpa" sound came out. This scared Wei Chang half to death, but when he listened carefully, it seemed to be the sound that came out from a television. "Demonis, quickly let go of my grandpa." Yi Hua could be seen holding onto his forehead. His gaze was placed on the huge LCD screen, and the show that was being broadcasted was precisely Calabash Brothers. "Don't disturb the boss from watching the show," Wei Chang warned lightly. Jiu Yi, who was at the back, swallowed his saliva. "This kind of atmosphere is just like when I went to see the boss when I was young." "No. Right now, the atmosphere was even more strange, and there was also the huge dog that was lying at the side, glaring at them covetously." 20 minutes later, the episode finally finished. Yi Hua picked up the remote control and pressed the pause button, then said faintly, "Human nature is such a peculiar thing." Jiu Yi didn't react for a moment and let out an muddle-headed sound. Yi Hua did not pay attention to Wei Chang and asked lightly, "Wei Chang, what's going on?" Wei Chang handed over the envelope. Yi Hua took a look at the envelope and said faintly, "You are that Xiao Wu's man from back then?" Jiu Yi hurriedly nodded his head and answered, "Young Master Yi, I am indeed Fifth Master's man. I am indebted to Fifth Master for thinking highly of me, that's why I am where I am today. Don't call me Young Master Yi, it will make me seem very low. Call me boss, seeing that it's your first time." Yi Hua took a look at Jiu Yi, and the latter felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. His lips were trembling. Yes, boss." Yi Hua threw the envelope at the side and said coldly, "Back then, Xiao Wu helped me with a favor, and I promised to return him a favor. Tell me your purpose for coming here." Jiu Yi kept on wiping off his cold sweat and said respectfully, "Recently, I have a competitor, Before Jiu Yi could finish speaking, Yi Hua interrupted him, "I don't need the process." Jiu Yi went into a daze, then quickly took out the information of his competitor. Wei Chang took over the information, and Yi Hua continued to press the play button, as if the cartoon was more important than anything else. "You can leave now," Wei Chang said gravely. Jiu Yi had never met someone like this before. "This is too refreshing, right? However, I still have to fawn on those that I should fawn on. Boss, this time, I have also prepared some small gifts for you." Jiu Yi revealed out a humble smile. If outsiders were to see this, they would definitely think that they were blind. Yi Hua seemed to be a bit impatient, and Wei Chang shouted coldly, still not leaving, "Boss, these gifts are carefully picked for you, they are all of the best quality." It must be said that Jiu Yi's courage was very big, to still insist on giving gifts in this kind of situation. Chapter 6. At this moment, Jiu Yi regretted to the point that his intestines turned green. "I have already settled the matter, I should have just left. Yet, I still had to go and deliver the gift. Now, it's great, if I don't meet his requirements, I don't even dare to think about the consequences. Right now, I can only brace myself and do it. Boss, don't worry about this. Yi Hua waved his hand. I hope that there will be something new again today, but I don't have much hope. Jiu Yi hurriedly called his underling, then personally went downstairs to bring the people up. 10 top-grade beauties walked into the office one by one, and instantly, a fragrance filled the air. Yi Hua took a glance at them. Just as I thought, they are all women that are unable to cause me to be excited. Boss, this beauty is Long and University's #1 school flower, look at this height, this curve, her family background is not ordinary. And this one, Long and Art School's school flower, she even acted in a drama before, her popularity is not small right now, look at this small face. This one is incredible, Long and City's youngest CEO, her net worth is over 10 million. And this one, it must be said that these women were all top grade, if placed outside, they would all be goddess-like. No matter if it is appearance or figure, they are indeed one in a million. Jiu Yi did not lie, but Yi Hua only took a glance at them and continued to look at Calabash Brothers, as if the spirits inside were even better looking than these spirits. The 10 women had a disappointed look on their faces. In actuality, all of them came willingly, no one forced them at all, they just wanted to have a wonderful night with this boss, but in the end, this boss actually chose to look at Calabash Brothers and not look at them. Lai Gu, who was lying on the floor lazily, completely uninterested. Seems like his appetite has also been raised to be picky. Jiu Ye's cold sweat once again emerged. He called the 10 beauties out, then brought another woman in. Yi Hua took a glance at the woman, she is still acceptable, but he is still uninterested. Boss, this is the famous Miss Ran Yi, right now, she can definitely squeeze into the ranks of A-list female celebrities. This was Jiu Ye's trump card. In order to curry favor with Yi Hua, he did not hesitate to spend a large sum of money to invite Ran Yi, and even promised that he would definitely make her famous in the future. It must be said that this Miss Ran Yi was indeed very good-looking, different from those women just now. This Miss Ran Yi had a faint arrogance, her aura was not bad, her figure was fiery, her S-shaped curves, her pure white skin, that exquisite little face did not move at all, but Yi Hua just could not get excited. Just like yesterday's Qing Ya, only women of that level could make Yi Hua feel excited. Seeing that Yi Hua was still the same as before, Jiu Ye's heart sunk to the bottom. Just how high is his requirement? Was this kind of woman still not good enough? Qing Yutong, can you call her over? Yi Hua asked faintly. When Lord Jiu heard this, he immediately felt dizzy. Qing Yutong is an international superstar. This year, she had even won an Oscar for Best Actress, and her fame had skyrocketed. How could he invite such a woman? He snorted coldly in disdain, seemingly mocking Yi Hua for being childish. Wei Chang's expression suddenly changed, and his entire body seemed to have become very distorted. Meanwhile, Lai Gu, who was lying on the ground, opened his eyes, and his doggy eyes were emitting out greed. Pa! Jiu Yi stretched out his hand and gave Yi Qing a slap. As a woman, how could Yi Qing withstand Jiu Ye's slap that was caused by Jiu Ye's rage? Yi Qing's entire body was slapped and flew to the corner of the wall, stupefied. Boss, this woman is not sensible, please forgive her. Yi Hua said faintly, these gifts of yours aren't much. Woo-woo, Lai Gu came to Yi Hua's side and pushed onto Yi Hua's pants, seemingly like he was begging for something. Yi Hua let out a breath and said calmly, go to the storage room. Woo-woo, Lai Gu let out an excited howl, then walked in front of Iran, bit onto Iran's collar, and dragged her out. However, no matter how Iran resisted, it was useless, because Lai Gu was a bone dragon. Just what kind of bar is this? The boss is strange, the subordinates are strange, even the dog is strange. Before Fifth Lord died, he didn't mention such a situation. Alright, the boss has accepted your gift, you can leave now. Wei Chang said faintly, his entire person regained his calmness, because just a moment ago, Wei Chang had the thought of eating that woman up. Jiu Yi wished that he could just run away right now, this place is simply too scary, I don't want to come here anymore. As for that Iran, good luck to her, I will satisfy her request. Of course, the precondition is that she doesn't die. After Jiu Yi left, Yi Hua watched a few more episodes, then turned off the television. Wei Chang, you go and settle this matter. Alright, boss. Yi Hua yawned, then returned to his room to rest, leaving Wei Chang alone. Meanwhile, Wei Chang shouted out lightly, evil spirit, death mage. A black whirlpool suddenly formed on the floor, and a figure that was wearing a black robe and holding onto a sickle gradually appeared, bringing along a deathly aura. Master. Death Mage placed down the sickle in his hand and knelt on the floor. Both of his hands were sticking onto the floor, just that, those hands did not have any flesh and blood. Wei Chang said calmly, I don't want this person to see tomorrow's sun. I will obey Master's command. Death Mage picked up the documents and disappeared from the office. Seems like he was already very familiar with the process. Wei Chang let out a breath and muttered to himself, it wasn't easy for me to cultivate a bit of humanity, and I almost lost it. On the second day, a big matter happened in Long-An City. The famous entrepreneur Song Anping suddenly died in his lover's house, and it immediately caused a huge uproar and all kinds of guesses. After Jiu Yi got to know of the news, his entire person didn't feel good. This is too mystical, he died so quickly, it can't really be an accident, right? As for Yi Hua, he was still the same as before, reading magazines, or Qin Yutong's works, or watching Calabash Brothers, cultivating a bit of humanity. However, Yi Hua discovered that Lai Gu, this fellow, had a bit of abnormal behavior in the recent few days. He would leave the house early and return late, but it was only for a week, then he would return to normal. I reckon that he got tired of playing with me. On the other hand, that female celebrity's taste is a bit heavy. Thinking about it, it makes sense, after all, Lai Gu is a dragon. Life was still the same. 1 month passed by in a blink of an eye, and everything returned back to normal. However, on this night, Yi Hua's peaceful life could be considered to have been completely broken. Still there. Yi Hua was currently admiring the Calabash Brothers saving his grandfather. In actuality, he had already watched it countless of times, but he still couldn't understand, what is there to save? Wei Chang nodded his head, still there, do you need me to go and chase her away? Yi Hua turned off the television, stood up and said faintly, forget it, I have already waited for 3 days, I better go and meet her. Congratulations, boss, you are becoming more and more humane. Wei Chang was first startled for a moment, then immediately shouted out in congratulations. Yi Hua let out a breath. Humanity is something that is hard to cultivate, but losing it is very easy. I hope that she will not let the humanity that I cultivated with great difficulty to be gone. Chapter 7. However, that cold and elegant face was still the same. Even though her clothes had changed, the aura on her body was still there. The current her was drinking glass after glass of wine, not caring about what would happen to her after drinking. Yi Hua came to the bar counter and looked at Qin Ye quietly. He did not stop her from drinking. If she gets drunk, then I'll just throw her outside to fend for herself. Maybe there will be an old man who picks up trash who will get a big bargain, or maybe some hooligans on the street. Don't you have anything to say? Qin Ye put down the bar heavily and looked at the man in front of her coldly. Yi Hua said indifferently, I said before, I am not interested in women that I have touched once. I am not that cheap, I am here to ask for your help. Qin Ye rubbed her swollen head, feeling like it was going to split open. Why are there so many troublesome things recently? I really want to die to solve everything. Yi Hua took out a cigarette and lit it up. I think you found the wrong person. Hearing Yi Hua's reply, Qin Ye became a bit crazy and shouted, why are you all a bunch of cold-blooded monsters? What did I do wrong, to make me marry a man that I don't like? Yi Hua looked at her calmly. There was not a bit of fluctuation. Seeing Qin Ye's state, he felt that there was something wrong with his eyesight. Do you know why I came to find you? Because of this. Qin Ye took out a report from her bag and fiercely slammed it on the bar counter. Yi Hua originally had an indifferent face, but when he saw that report, his entire body froze, the expression on his face became even more colorful. There was surprise, there was nervousness, there was surprise, there was joy, all kinds of emotions intertwined together. The current Yi Hua finally looked like a human. A pair of pitch-black eyes stared at Qingya's abdomen, and thought in his heart, eyes of truth. This is the smell of bloodline. She did not lie to me, I really have bloodline. I never thought that I would have this day, as an undead, my body is just a skeleton, how can I have a child, could it be that I have bone marrow? I never thought that the flesh and blood that I created would actually have this kind of function. In the past, I was quite envious of humans having children. After killing the old, after killing the young, there will be another young, but what about me? After killing me, I will have nothing. But now it is different, there is a little life in this woman's abdomen, ha! The heavens have not forsaken me. If you are still indifferent, your child will recognize someone else as his father in the future, and perhaps, I will perish together with your child. Qingya's emotions became more and more agitated, seems like the matter of marriage had already forced her into a dead end. To Qingya, this week was the darkest week. Grandpa, Grandma, Father, and Mother were all urging her to get married, wishing that they could immediately throw her out of the house. Didn't that man only cure your illness? You're pushing your daughter out. Are you still the same? In addition, she had been retching for the past few days, and her period didn't come normally either. In the end, she went to the hospital and found out that she was pregnant. Qingya's first thought was to abort it, but she endured it and immediately ran over to look for this strange man. Her woman's intuition told her that only this man could help her. How dare you! Upon hearing that Qingya was going to exterminate his bloodline, Yi Hua, who was currently in a happy mood, immediately exploded out, and he wished that he could pinch this murderer to death. If it was in normal times, Qingya would definitely be frightened by this baleful aura. But right now, she was drunk and disheartened. Any kind of threat was useless against her. Why wouldn't I dare? Even if you don't help me, I dare. Qingya was not afraid of this man in front of her in the slightest. Anger was burning in Yi Hua's chest. How many years has it been? I have never been so angry before. This damned woman actually dares to use my child to threaten me. Qingya sneered, what? Want to kill me? Come on then, kill me and my child together. Yi Hua went into a daze. Holding onto his forehead with his right hand, he gradually started laughing, and his laughter became crazier and crazier. Meanwhile, Qingya, who was drunk, also started laughing crazily. This kind of scene felt as if two lunatics were comparing laughter. After a long time, Yi Hua kept away his laughter and said coldly, I can help you. But, you have to give birth to my child. I can give birth to your child, but during this period of time, you have to listen to my arrangements and get rid of this damned marriage agreement. Right now, Qingya had also calmed down. I can give birth to a child, but I will definitely not marry that arrogant man. Deal. Yi Hua didn't even think too much about it. As long as I can give birth to my child, I am willing to do anything, even if I have to burn down the entire planet. Deal. Qingya suddenly laughed, and two streams of tears of grievance slowly flowed down. Soon after, Qingya couldn't bear the pain in her heart anymore, and she laid on the bar counter and cried loudly, seemingly wanting to cry out all of the grievances in her heart. Yi Hua didn't do anything, his mind was only filled with two words, child. Perhaps it was because she was too tired, Qingya fell asleep while crying. Traces of tears could be seen on her delicate face, making her look so pitiful. Congratulations, Your Honor, congratulations, Your Honor, you are blessed with a child. Wei Cheng knelt on one knee with a joyous look on his face. This was a congratulation that came from the bottom of his heart. Even Lai Gu knelt on the ground and cried out. Yi Hua took in a deep breath and said gravely, everyone, get up. The following work will be transferred to this woman's body, ensure that the child is born safely. Yi Hua shouted gravely. There was nothing more important than having a child. Respectfully obey Your Honor's command. Wu Wu, Imperial Translation, respectfully obey your honor's command. Looking at Qingye who had already fallen asleep, Yihua waved his hand, and Qingye actually gradually floated up and followed Yihua upstairs. After placing Qingye on the bed, Yihua opened up both of his arms and muttered, high-level healing technique. A burst of golden light sprinkled onto Qingye's body, and with the naked eye, Qingye's skin could be seen slowly becoming better and better, becoming whiter and whiter, and when the golden light dissipated, Qingye's entire appearance underwent a qualitative change. If she was a fairy that descended to the mortal world in the past, then right now, even a fairy that descended to the mortal world would feel ashamed of her inferiority. After doing all that, Yihua sat on a chair at the side and looked at the woman on the bed. It was as if he could already hear the sound of a child playing. So this is the feeling of happiness that humans speak of. Interesting. When the morning light arrived, Yihua was still sitting on the bed. Right now, he seemed to have calmed down a lot and was not as excited as he was at the beginning. However, his gaze was still staring at Qingye's abdomen. Qingye turned her body and let out an alluring moan. Slowly opening her beautiful eyes, Qingye saw the familiar ceiling, and her thoughts immediately returned back to last night. I seem to have gotten drunk. Immediately lifting up the blanket, Qingye discovered that her clothes were neat and tidy, and she immediately let out a breath of relief. When she saw Yihua who was sitting at the side, Qingye covered her body again, and her pair of beautiful eyes gradually became cold. Why am I lying here? Chapter 8. Qingye had never met such an arrogant man before. He was even more arrogant than that fiancé of hers. Taking a deep breath, Qingye calmed down. Does yesterday's deal still count? Of course. Yihua lit up a cigarette and said faintly. Qingye's eyebrows slightly wrinkled, seemingly not liking it, but she did not say anything. All right then, let's go and get a marriage certificate first. Qingye already had her own plan. As long as Yihua cooperates with her, it would be fine. No matter what, he was the father of the child. All right. Yihua said faintly. Towards that marriage certificate, Yihua expressed that he did not care. There was nothing in this world that could restrict him. Qingye did not expect that Yihua would be so straightforward. Seems like the child is really important to him. This will be easy. Standing up, Qingye felt that her body was especially comfortable today. She couldn't help but look towards the mirror at the side, and her beautiful eyes were shocked. So beautiful, what happened to me today? Why did I become so beautiful? Even I couldn't help but look a few more times. Sigh, being beautiful is really troublesome. Yihua said faintly, stop looking. What's wrong with me looking at myself? Originally, her mood was a bit better, but she was choked by Yihua's words. Doesn't this damned man know how to speak properly? Yihua spat out a mouthful of smoke. I won't become a demon no matter how much I look. You. Take out your certificate and come out. Qingye's beautiful face was calm as she said coldly. Yihua did not say anything. What he needed to do now was to wait for the arrival of the child. He will become the ruler of the world, and everything will bow down to him. When the two appeared on the street, it immediately caused a commotion. The man was perfect, the woman was unbelievably beautiful. This kind of combination was simply even more compatible than a couple on the screen. Just that, the expression of the two was a bit weird, cold, especially the woman. She was like a human-shaped ice cube. I wonder how beautiful she would be when she smiles. Qingye suddenly stopped her footsteps and asked faintly, did you bring money? Yihua searched for a bit, then said lightly, 2 RMB. A few black lines immediately appeared on Qingye's forehead. Yesterday, I came out in a hurry and forgot to bring my wallet and phone. I only brought my bag. And this man actually did not bring his wallet when he went out, and even said that he only brought 2 RMB. I have never seen such a stingy person. Don't you bring money when you go out? Qingye questioned. Whenever she saw him, she would get angry. He would always put on an expression that seemed like he didn't care about anything. Money? It's just some paper. Yihua said faintly. Qingye sneered, I really regret giving my first time to such an arrogant man like you. Regretting what has already happened? You're really childish. I can't be led around by him. Calm down. Take a deep breath. I am not familiar with this city. Where is the Civil Affairs Bureau? Qingye said coldly. I usually don't go out. Qingye went into a daze and almost vomited blood from anger. That fiancé of mine isn't even as arrogant as him. Endure. No matter what, he was the child's biological father. How could the child be born without a father? Yihua walked like a monarch, while Qingye went to ask the passers-by how to get to the Civil Affairs Bureau. In the end, the two of them sat on the bus that was packed with people, and the 2RMB finally played its biggest role. Qingye remembered that back then, when she was still in university, she had once sat on a public bus, and after that, she never sat on a public bus again. The surrounding was pervaded with a pungent smell of sweat, and there were also some men's greedy gazes. Suddenly, a big hand hugged onto her waist, and Qingye's expression turned cold. Which blind person actually dares to take advantage of me? Doesn't he know how the word death is written? Don't misunderstand, I am just worried about the child. Yihua's right hand held onto the pole, and his left hand hugged onto her slender waist. Qingye glared at Yihua coldly, but did not say anything. Along the way, Qingye felt that it was very stable. That big hand seemed to have boundless strength that was supporting onto her waist. This feeling is really good. Half an hour later, the two arrived at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Qingye struggled free from Yihua's embrace and proudly walked forward. Yihua mumbled, this perfume is pretty good. Yihua and Qingye were no exception as well. However, it was very difficult for them to be a photographer. Can you two get closer? The cameraman felt that they did not come to get married, but to get a divorce. Yihua said faintly, I am asking you to get closer. Why aren't you getting closer? Qingye said gravely. It has always been a woman getting closer to me. Humph, it has always been a man getting closer to me. The cameraman swallowed his saliva. About that, do the two of you want to discuss first? No need. Qingye said coldly and took the initiative to move. The cameraman said in satisfaction, good, not bad, this is the posture, bring a smile. The air seemed to have solidified. Smile? This is really an absurd night talk. Qingye was a smart woman. This marriage certificate was to be brought back home to show to her parents. If she did not act properly, it would be very easy for her to be seen through, so she had to show that she was very happy. A trace of art gradually appeared on the corner of Qingye's mouth. The cameraman was stupefied. He dared to swear. This woman is the most beautiful woman that I have ever seen in my entire life. So beautiful that I am suffocating. Mister. The cameraman reminded. Yihua still maintained his calm. Qingye wished that she could slap him a few times, and said in a low voice, smile. I can't smile. Yihua said faintly. The cameraman was speechless. Your fucking wife is so beautiful, yet you actually can't smile. If it was me, I would even wake up from my dreams laughing. Qingye was angered to the point that her chest was moving up and down as she said coldly, if you don't smile, I will perish together with your child. A cold murderous intent quietly spread out, but very quickly, it was kept away by Yihua. The corner of his mouth began to rise slightly, but it felt a bit like twitching. All right, maintain this state. Along with a click sound, the two's smile instantly disappeared. After spending half an hour in line to get the marriage certificate, everything was so precise. Qingye absent-mindedly looked at the marriage certificate in her hand. So his name is Yihua. This is really ironic, only now did I know what the name of the father of my child is. Yihua took a look at the marriage certificate in his hand, then stuffed it into his pocket, as if nothing had happened. Follow me back to Gaohai City. Qingye kept the marriage certificate and said faintly. Not going. Qingya's expression turned cold. Didn't we agree yesterday? I will give birth to your child, you have to listen to me. That's right, but I like this city, it is quiet. Yihua said faintly. After living here for 5 years, he was already used to it, he did not want to go and get used to another city. You are quibbling. Other than this, I can listen to you for everything else. Yihua said faintly. For this child, he actually put down his face as a supreme overlord. Qingya let out a breath. Fine. My grandfather lives in Long-an City, and that fiancé's hometown is also in Long-an City. It is fine for me to temporarily stay in Long-an City. Let's go and buy a villa first. Chapter 9. Qingya snorted. Your place is filled with smoke, it is not good for the fetus. Since the problem was brought onto the child, Yihua didn't say anything else. Do you have money to buy it? Hehe, I am so poor that I only have money left. That's good, you go and call a taxi. Yihua leaned on the tree and said faintly. Qingya clenched her small fist, she really wanted to punch that face. Is he still a man? He doesn't have any gentlemanly demeanor at all. However, she still had to go to the hotel to get her wallet first. Helpless, Qingya could only brace herself and call a taxi. Sitting in the taxi, Yihua took out a stick of cigarette. Qingya finally couldn't take it anymore. Are you trying to smoke my child to death? Yihua went into a daze, then extinguished the cigarette and said faintly, It's my child. Mine. Mine. The old driver listened to the quarreling sounds behind him and had a speechless face. Youngsters nowadays, fighting so intensely over the child, seems like they just went through the divorce procedures. Just that, the appearance of these two is really a bit high, especially this woman, she made me not even have the mood to drive anymore. After reaching the entrance of the hotel, Yihua said lightly, I won't be getting off the car. You really are a big uncle. Qingya was angered to the point that her face turned red. She slammed the door and walked into the hotel. The old driver had an awkward face and laughed, Young man, it is such a pity to divorce such a beautiful wife. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it, just got married. Ah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The old driver was speechless, this was the first time he saw this kind of newlyweds. If it was in the past, the old driver's head might have already fallen to the ground. Luckily, Calabash Brothers saved his life. After that, the old driver didn't dare to speak anymore. Although the man behind him looked good, but the feeling he gave off was very weird, just like a demon in human skin. After waiting for more than half an hour, Qingya finally appeared. She seemed to be sincere, because she took a shower on top of the hotel and changed into a new set of clothes. She was wearing a floral skirt and a simple white striped shirt, she looked beautiful and handsome. The old driver was stupefied, to have such a wife, I am willing to die. After sitting in the car, Qingya said faintly, go to the best building. Oh, okay. The old driver stuttered. This man is too lucky, to have such a woman to give birth to a child for him. Yihua was just about to take out a stick of cigarette, but after thinking for a bit, he still placed the cigarette into the cigarette and said faintly, you did it on purpose, right? What are you talking about? Qingya looked out of the window and said faintly. Yihua didn't say anything, and the entire journey seemed to be very quiet. The old driver brought the two of them to a golden building in the city, and Yihua said lightly, this place is too noisy, let's go to a building in the suburbs. The old driver took a look at Qingya, and felt that between the two of them, the woman's words carry more weight. Qingya snorted, it could be considered as giving Yihua face. However, she herself also felt that living in the suburbs was good, the air was good, and it was also quiet, which was good for nurturing the fetus. After another hour of driving, the two finally arrived at their destination, Longhu Real Estate. Why does Qingya feel that this name is so familiar? I seem to have seen it somewhere before. That's right. His subsidiary company seemed to have cooperated with Longhu before, and he had even reviewed the proposal. Looking at the overcrowded scene, he felt that his decision was correct. What are you standing there foolishly for? Yihua lit up a cigarette and reminded. Qingya's eyebrows wrinkled. You are the stupid one, why are you smoking again? Will you die if you don't smoke? Yes, he will die. Qingya ignored him, this man is already hopeless. When Qingya walked into the sales hall, all of the men's gazes looked over, and the sound of saliva being swallowed could be heard clearly. And just as the women beside them were preparing to teach the men a lesson, Yihua walked in as well. All of the women forgot to teach the men a lesson and swallowed their saliva just like the men. A salesman hurriedly ran over. Miss, do you want to look at the house? Bring me to look at the villa district. Qingya said indifferently, her entire aura was very strong, some of the men did not even dare to look straight at her. This is our villa district, miss, your luck is very good, there is only one villa left, the rest of the villas have all been sold. Qingya took a look at the model, this is it. Ah. The salesman had never seen such a straightforward person before. Ha, beautiful lady, I am sorry, I have already booked this villa. A man with a fat head and big ears could be seen rushing over, a gold chain that was as thick as a finger was hanging on his neck, his skin was oily, and when he smiled, a mouthful of yellow teeth could be seen. CEO Shen. The salesman shouted respectfully. Yihua smoked a cigarette while standing at the side and watching the show. Displeasure appeared on Qingya's pretty face, didn't you say just now that it was not sold? This. The salesman did not know what to say. Beautiful lady, how about this, let's have a meal together and talk about the matter regarding this villa, how about it? Shen Shui grinned, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth, looking extremely disgusting. Qingya took out her phone and asked, what is your name? Shen Shui thought that the beautiful lady wanted his phone number and said excitedly, I am called Shen Shui. Qingya dialed the number, pointed to Yihua who was at the side and asked, do you think that he is handsome? Shen Shui looked towards Yihua and was first startled, then pouted his mouth, he is not as handsome as me. I think so too. Qingya said indifferently. Shen Shui expressed that he was very pleased, this is called having telepathy. Yihua spat out a mouthful of smoke, this woman is very daring, however, she is very to my liking. CEO Qing, what's the matter? Without waiting for Qingya to speak, a respectful inquiry rang out from the phone. Qingya said gravely, Long and City's Longhu Real Estate, do we have a cooperation with each other? Yes, we are the major shareholders. Is their boss called Shen Shui? Qingya asked, and Shen Shui who was at the side was confused. No, their boss is called Shen Tao, Shen Shui seems to be his younger brother. Tell their boss to come to the sales center. After finished speaking, Qingya hung up the phone. I was just worrying about not having a place to vent my anger, you can only blame yourself for being unlucky. As Qingya's voice was a bit loud, a lot of people heard it and felt that there was going to be a good show to watch. Meanwhile, Shen Shui had a face of disdain. These days, there are a lot of people who like to act cool, if they act cool well, then they are called awesome, if they don't act cool well, then they are called idiots. Beautiful lady, why are you like this? It wouldn't be good if it gets awkward later on. Shen Shui did not think that it was like that, he still wanted to eat with this kind of woman. Just that, right after he finished speaking, his phone rang, it was actually his brother who called. What the fuck did you do? Shen Tao's roar rang out from the phone. Shen Shui went into a daze, brother, I didn't do anything. Stand there and don't move, we will be there in 10 minutes. Shen Shui put down his phone in a daze, looked at Qingya, then pointed at his phone. Do you still want to go eat? Qingya said coldly. Shen Shui swallowed his saliva, a drop of cold sweat flowed down from his forehead. Could it be that what this woman said just now was true? If that's the case, then she is really awesome. Chapter 10. 10 minutes later, a Mercedes-Benz S600 suddenly braked at the entrance of the restaurant, and a middle-aged man ran over at high speed. The first thing he saw was Qingye, then he saw his own brother who was standing there. Without thinking too much, he knew what had happened. Pa! A slap landed fiercely on Shen Shuai's fat face. The 250-pound fatty was actually slapped to the ground. The latter covered his face with his hands and looked panicked. He had no idea what kind of trouble he had caused. CEO Qing. Shen Tao arrived in front of Qingye, lowered his head and respectfully called out. I want this villa. The price is whatever it is, Qingye said calmly. Shen Tao hurriedly said, CEO Qing, just take it as me sending you off. There's no need for that. Your Longhu real estate, we need to re-examine it, because your character is really very bad. Qingye took a look at Shen Shuai who was lying on the ground. Shen Tao's expression immediately changed. It wasn't easy for him to ride on someone's coattails. He couldn't let it go just like that. Director Qing, give us another chance. I guarantee that this kind of situation won't happen again. Shen Tao couldn't care about his face anymore, and with a plop sound, he kneeled onto the ground. Everyone at the scene sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Shen Tao was a famous businessman in Long-an City, and right now, he was actually kneeling in front of a woman. Where did this woman come from? Discussions immediately broke out in the surroundings. I think I've seen this woman somewhere before. That's right, I saw it on TV. She was one of the top 10 youths in the country and a famous queen in Gaohai City. Her total net worth was tens of billions. He's in the top 50 in the country. It can't be, isn't this too exaggerated, isn't he too young? It's not exaggerated at all, I heard that this woman started her business before even finishing her university. Her family background is strong and has a lot of resources, and she succeeded in just a short while. However, I feel that she is even more beautiful today. Looking at the man kneeling in front of her, Qingye was very disdainful. Your kneeling made my impression of you even worse. There's nothing more to say. In the future, Qingqing International will not cooperate with you. As for this villa, I still want to buy it. Shen Tao's face was ashen, while Shen Shuai was scared silly. Looking at his younger brother's stupid look, Shen Tao picked up a broom beside him and started beating him up. You bastard, you're ruining things. I'm going to beat you to death today. Qingye waved her hand towards the sales clerk, and the latter ran over fearfully. Let's see how much it is. Swipe my card. All right. The young man was also frightened. This woman was so domineering. The boss had already knelt in front of her and admitted his mistake, but she was still ruthless. What a cold woman. 10 million was gone in an instant, but Qingye didn't feel any heartache at all. While she was at it, she even arranged for the renovation team to finish the renovation as soon as possible, because she was going to move in. Yihua watched from the start to the end and did not have to do anything at all, because Qingye did everything in an orderly manner and did not have to interfere at all. Qingye was truly a strong woman. By the time they finished dealing with all these, it was already 1:00 in the afternoon. The two of them walked out of the store's lobby, and right now, the sun was scorching hot, and Qingye couldn't help but wrinkle her brows. Looking at you acting cool is also a kind of enjoyment. Yihua, who had not spoken all along, suddenly said. Qingye coldly stared at this man. For the entire morning, he did not do anything. He was the one who was busy, yet he said that he was acting cool. Bastard! Then why aren't you helping me, and are just watching the show? Qingye said in disdain. You really aren't a man. If I make a move, they will die. Qingye went into a daze, and after a while, she suddenly laughed. You sure know how to act cool. Yihua did not care about Qingye's ridicule at all and silently lit up a cigarette. Acting deep again. Qingye snorted coldly. The Mercedes-Benz S600 that they were in just a while ago suddenly drove over. Shen Tao immediately got off the car, walked to the front of Qingye and fawned, CEO Qing, it is not easy to get a taxi here, you can just use mine. Yihua flicked away the cigarette but in his hand and took the lead to get into the car. Qinya was angered to the point that she wanted to kill someone, this bastard. Helpless, she could only sit in the car. Shentao happily wanted to sit in the front passenger seat. Seems like there is still a chance to turn the situation around. Get out. Yihua said indifferently. Shentao immediately stretched out his leg that stepped into the car. Turning his head back and thinking, why do I have to listen to this man? Who does he think he is? CEO Shen, you don't need to follow us. Qinya said calmly. These two people are simply a perfect match, ice on ice. There is no need to even turn on the air conditioner. Alright, CEO Qing. Xiao Wang, drive the car steadily. Shentao instructed the driver. Alright, CEO Shen. The driver said. The car maintained its silence again, and in the end, it was still Qinya who broke the silence. I will go to the hotel to sleep for the next few days. After the villa is renovated, we will move in. Hotel? Go to my place. Yihua said in a deep voice, seemingly unhappy. Your place is too small, and there are a lot of people, it is inconvenient for me. Qinya said unhappily. This matter is not up for discussion. Yihua's tone was very firm. Qinya snorted and turned her face away. Then, later on, I still have to go and buy some clothes to change into. Qinya spoke again, seemingly looking for a topic to talk about. Alright. You pay. I don't have money. Stingy. This was Qinya's goal, she just wanted to mock Yihua for being stingy. The atmosphere became quiet again. Xiao Wang, who was driving, finally understood their relationship. So they are a couple. This is a big news. The boss will definitely reward me with money. Why did you want to get into the car just now? Qinya asked lightly. Her tone became a lot more gentle. She did not believe that Yihua would act recklessly. Yihua supported his chin with his left hand and said, a trash also has its value, let alone such a big boss. Teaching him a lesson is enough. Qinya pouted her mouth. For the first time, she did not refute. Meanwhile, Xiao Wang, who was in the front, was astonished. This man actually said that the boss is a trash. This woman actually did not refute. After squeezing out the last bit of value from him, he can get lost. Yihua added another sentence. You sure are cold-blooded. Qinya said faintly. Yihua suddenly laughed lightly. You are the same. Even if I don't get into the car, you will have an excuse to get into the car. If not, who are you waiting for at the entrance? Qinya laughed tenderly, just like 100 flowers competing with each other. She was extremely beautiful. I didn't expect that this man would actually see through my intentions. Not bad. Xiao Wang, who was driving, felt like his heart was about to collapse. Can you two take my feelings into consideration? If you want to scheme against the boss, you should have done it secretly. Why are you doing it so openly? I must definitely tell the boss. These two people are too bad. After laughing tenderly, Qinya's face turned cold again. Do you think that this little brother will tell his boss about our conversation? Yihua said faintly. He doesn't have the guts. I think so too. Both of Xiao Wang's hands were trembling. You two, shameless couple, to actually dare to say it out. But what they said is right. Right now, I really don't dare to say it out anymore. Arriving at the pedestrian street, Yihua said lightly, stop here. What? Chapter 11. Xiao Wang immediately opened the window. Do you want me to wait for you guys? However, her voice became softer and softer, as if she was saying these words out of respect for her professionalism. She stepped on the accelerator. She did not want to see this couple anymore. It was too hurtful. Sizing up the surrounding food stalls, Qinya pursed her lips. Do you usually eat these? Order takeout. No matter what, you are a boss. Why do I feel that you are especially poor? Qinya had long wanted to ask this question, just that, she was afraid of giving Yihua a blow. Yihua walked towards a kebab shop and said unhurriedly, donate all of the money that we earned, and the rest of the money will be given to us as salaries. You're going to donate money? Qingye felt as if she had seen a new continent. The impression that Yihua gave her was that of a cold and detached playboy. He was just a playboy with serious eccentricities. But now, it seemed that he still had a conscience. I heard that this can cultivate compassion. Indeed, you lack love quite a bit. Qingye immediately found a flaw in Yihua's words and hurriedly ridiculed Yihua. Yihua suddenly stopped his footsteps, causing Qingye, who was complacent, to bump into Yihua. Before Yihua could finish speaking, Qingye interrupted him again. If it was in the past, you would have killed me long ago, I know that. The problem is, do you dare to do that now? Stab right at my stomach, aim right at this spot. Yihua took a few deep breaths. If I am to be together with this woman, sooner or later, I will become like how I was in the past. However, as the mother of a child, having this kind of courage and insight is still not bad. I have the chance to become his honor's wife. Seeing that Yihua was gloomy, as if he had eaten a fly, Qingye was very happy. Just that, she kept all of this happiness in her heart, and her expression was still that cold, as if the people around her all owed her money. The two of them casually found a seat and sat down. The waitress ran over with the menu. It was a cute young lady. She did not dare to look at the two of them directly and lowered her head. Yihua tossed the menu back to Qingye, seemingly too lazy to even order the dishes. Lazy fool. Qingye muttered. However, she was indeed very hungry. After all, she didn't eat breakfast in the morning. Yihua couldn't be bothered to pay attention to her. If it wasn't for the fact that she was a child, I wouldn't be sitting and eating together with her. I really want to use magic to seal her mouth. Qingye didn't take the initiative to chat with Yihua anymore, and the two of them quietly waited for the dishes to be served. When all the dishes were served, Yihua said calmly, "Prepare the dishes for me." Finish what? Qingye went into a daze for a moment. Yihua gestured towards those skewers, then looked towards the bowl. His meaning was very clear. Qingye was angered to the point of laughing. Do you really think that you are a big boss? To even ask me to help you do it, do I have to feed it into your mouth or not? Do it yourself. Qingye said coldly. You are my wife right now, and you have the authority to serve me. Yihua said gravely. Yihua seemed to be in a bit of a bad mood. As a woman, I am not behaving like a woman at all. Qingye almost spat out the tofu in her mouth. I have the right to serve you. I'm sorry, but I give up that right. If it was during normal times, Yihua would still do it himself. After all, he was the only one here. However, right now, this woman could be considered as his wife in name. If he were to still do it himself, it would be quite embarrassing for him to do it. Seeing that Yihua was just sitting there and not eating anything, Qingye held back her anger and said, Your temper is quite big, huh? Yihua ignored her. Next time, I better not come out to eat with her. After another 10+ minutes passed, Qingye finally gave in. Finally, she stretched out her hand and made a skewer for Yihua, then placed it into Yihua's bowl. Eat it. Seems like you have already realized your mistake. Yihua said coldly, then picked up the chopsticks and picked up the meatball. Qingye felt that her lungs were going to explode. Why is this fellow so annoying? I only made a skewer for you because I pitied you. Give me another skewer. Is your hand broken? Qingye no longer pitied Yihua, and her tone became even colder. Give me another skewer, I don't want to say it a second time. Yihua felt that this woman really needed to be taught a lesson. Qingye snorted, This is already the second time you said it. Pa! The chopsticks were heavily slammed onto the table by Yihua, and the surrounding customers got a shock. What are this pair of extremely good-looking man and woman trying to do? Qingye also got a shock, feeling wronged in her heart. Holding back her tears, she said, Come, hit me. Looking at that pair of beautiful eyes that were gradually turning red, Yihua's anger slightly calmed down. Leaning back onto the chair once again, he did not say anything. However, the surrounding customers were all discussing amongst themselves. Damn, that handsome guy is about to hit that beauty. Tisk, tsk, tsk, to even be able to hit this kind of woman, this handsome guy is really awesome. Handsome guy is so handsome, if I was a woman, getting hit would also be a blessing, pervert. The atmosphere between the two immediately quietened down, all the way until Qingya's phone rang. Looking at the caller ID, Qingya wrinkled her brows, but she still picked up the phone. Qingya, I heard that you went to Long'an City, why didn't you tell me? I could have accompanied you there too. Qingya said indifferently, I am accompanying my husband, I will hang up first. Qingya, can you be a bit more mature, stop playing tricks, I know that you don't have a good impression of me, but feelings can be cultivated. The man on the phone seemed to be very persistent, and at the same time, he was also carrying a mysterious confidence. I am accompanying my husband, I don't want to repeat this sentence a second time. Yihua said indifferently, this is already the second time. Qingya glared at Yihua fiercely. Just whose side are you standing on? Alright, you are accompanying your husband, Grandpa wants us to go back to eat tomorrow. It just so happens that you are in Long'an City, I will come over this afternoon, how about we have dinner together? Not free. I want to accompany my husband. Yihua said indifferently, this is already the third time. Qingya couldn't take it anymore and shouted out, will you die if you don't speak? Qingya, what did you say? The person on the phone was confused, he felt that Qingya's temper was very big today. I want you to go and die. After finished speaking, Qingya hung up the phone and began to eat ferociously. The customers that were present were startled to the point that their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. This kind of woman is really hard to suppress, her aura is so strong, and she wants people to go and die at the slightest provocation. Yihua took out a cigarette and silently smoked. I am full. Qingya rubbed onto her flat stomach, feeling that all of the gloominess that she felt earlier had all entered into her stomach, and it would be digested in a while. Yihua did not say anything, stood up and walked towards the door. Hey, you really don't want to eat anymore, I am asking you a question. Seeing that Yihua really walked out of the restaurant, Qingya paid the bill and hurriedly followed after Yihua. This fellow is really stubborn. After catching up to Yihua, Qingya was a little out of breath, can you slow down a bit? Yihua unhurriedly turned his head around and took a look, your body constitution is not up to par, that night, you fainted after only half an hour. Yihua's one sentence immediately made the scene of that night seem like a movie. You are a scoundrel. Qingya shouted out coquettishly, then walked towards the other side while panting with rage. Chapter 12. Qingya, who was in a rage, walked straight ahead, and unknowingly, she actually ran out of road. Helpless, she turned around and walked, and immediately saw Yihua who was following behind her. At this moment, a large part of her anger dissipated, but she still didn't pay attention to Yihua and walked towards the shopping mall. The two of them arrived at the shopping mall. Every time they entered a shop, Qingya would see Yihua standing outside and smoking. At least he still has a bit of conscience. Just that, when they walked out of the last shop, Qingya discovered that Yihua suddenly disappeared. This damned bastard, where did he run off to? Could it be that he saw a beautiful woman and followed her with his buttocks? Are you done buying? Yihua walked over slowly from the other side. Qingya frowned, where did you go just now? Going to the toilet. Yihua said faintly. Qingya snorted coldly. At least you are tactful, take it. I'm not taking it. Yihua took a look at the big and small bags. As a supreme overlord, how can I possibly carry things for a woman? If news of this were to spread out, where would my status be? Qingya was simply angered to death. I feel that if I were to live together with this man, I would definitely have to live less than half of my life. Qingya took out her phone and dialed Lu Hang's number. Chief Qing, is there anything I can help you with? Send a car to the first-grade city. Qingya said faintly. Okay, CEO Qing, please wait a moment. After hanging up the phone, Qingye looked at that hateful back view and muttered, "It's fine if you don't want to take anything, but you are still walking so fast, don't you know that you are pregnant?" "Yeah. How could I forget about this? I'm pregnant, I'm the boss." Qingye cried out in surprise and fell onto the ground. Holding onto her stomach, a painful look could be seen on her face. Yihua's body stopped for a moment, and his pair of pitch-black eyes were flickering with a red light. When he saw that the little life was safe and sound, he let out a sigh of relief. But this woman almost lost her child. Fury, fury. The entire shopping mall trembled slightly, and this caused everyone to be startled. I thought that it was an earthquake, and luckily, the trembling disappeared very quickly. Just now, if it wasn't for Yihua controlling the trembling well, I'm afraid that everyone in the shopping mall would have been buried along with Yihua. "What's wrong with you? Can't you walk properly?" Yihua shouted out towards Qingye. Everyone in the shopping mall heard what Yihua said and couldn't help but look towards Qingye's direction. "I am pregnant with your child, what's wrong with me letting you take something? Although it was a fake fall, you should at least show some concern." Tears of grievance flowed out of her eyes. She thought about how helpless she had been during this period of time. She had thought that she had found someone who could help her, but in the end, she had found an even more cold-blooded person. "Yes. I just can't walk. I don't want you to care about me and the child. I don't want to see you ever again." Qingye cried, she cried very broken-heartedly. "Not a single man is a good thing, why is my life so bitter, all the men I met are trash men." The people in the shopping mall leaned on the guardrail and sighed endlessly. Such a beautiful woman is actually pregnant, and that man seems to be very cold-blooded. Others had already tripped and fell, yet he did not have the slightest bit of concern, and even questioned if she knew how to walk. Tsk. This was the first time that Qingye had lost her self-control and cried in public. Suddenly, Qingye, who was crying bitterly, felt that there was a force that lifted her up, and when she opened her beautiful eyes, she saw that chisel-like face. It must be said, Yihua is really very charming. Even if you don't feel embarrassed, I feel embarrassed. Yihua said faintly. Qingye took a look at her surroundings and discovered that there were a lot of people looking at her. "I must have been very embarrassed just now, please don't let me be photographed by others, this is my dark history. It's all this damned guy's fault for shouting at me like that. But I am being carried in his embrace. What does this count as? Does he know that he is wrong?" "Wrong? He just said that I am embarrassed, how did I embarrass myself? Which woman can grow up to be so beautiful, have such a good figure, and be so rich? And he still said that I am embarrassed, he is too much of a scoundrel. Put me down." Qingye said calmly, her small face was a bit red. Yihua took a look, "Can you walk properly? You are the one who doesn't know how to walk." Qingye snorted and walked forward with large strides. Lu Hang personally drove the car and arrived at the shopping mall to wait. When he saw Yihua, this unfamiliar man, his heart was filled with doubt. Who is he? Could he be that person that is being spread around the corporation? "CEO Qing, be careful." Lu Hang opened the door and said respectfully. Meanwhile, Qingye's face was as cold as frost. Yihua stood at the side and said faintly, "Sit inside." "Don't you know that it's from that side?" Qingye was puzzled. "This fellow just has to make me unhappy, right? Looking for trouble." Yihua took a look and said lightly, "It's not safe." "Qingye, if time could go back to that night, I wouldn't have gone to that bar even if I was beaten to death, and even more so, I don't want to get to know this man." "What are you in a daze for?" Qingye was helpless and could only move a bit. Only then did Yihua sit inside. Lu Hang witnessed everything, and it was as if he had seen a ghost. CEO Qing really moved. How is this possible? Is this man really that awesome? Even a woman like CEO Qing has to listen to him. "CEO Qing, are we going to the company or?" Lu Hang started the Audi A8, turned his head around and asked. Qingye looked outside of the window and said faintly, ask him. Bar. Yihua also looked outside of the window and said coldly. Eh. Lu Hang felt that the atmosphere was a bit weird and did not dare to say much. However, he felt that CEO Qing and this fiancé of hers were rather compatible. At least, in the competition of appearance, the two of them were able to shake hands and make up. Going to the bar in the afternoon doesn't seem to be too appropriate, right? However, I will go wherever the boss says to go. Along the way, the two of them arrived at the entrance of the bar and got off the car. Qingye said lightly, leave the car behind, I want to use it. Alright, CEO Qing. Lu Hang held the car keys with both hands. Yihua took a look silently, and basically did not have the intention to stretch out his hand to take the car keys. He opened the door and walked in by himself. Qingye was angry, but she could not show it to her subordinates. She could only swallow her anger and take the car keys, along with a bunch of daily necessities and a change of clothes. CEO Qing, let me help you. Qingye, who was in a bad mood, said a bit impulsively, no need. Lu Hang felt that it was better not to get involved in this muddy water. Going back and eating the food cooked by his wife was the most important thing. Qingye moved everything into the bedroom. Right now, Yihua was changing his clothes. Those rock-like muscles, and those lines, how perfect. Wrong. This fellow definitely did it on purpose, fiddling with my body, TSK. Who doesn't know how to do it? In front of Yihua, Qingye actually took off her upper garment and skirt, leaving behind only a bikini. That curvaceous figure, that perfect curve, that tender skin, every part of it was so perfect. If any man were to see this delicate body, they would definitely go crazy for it. Little guy, fiddling with your body in front of me, if I don't bewitch you to death, I will write the word Qing upside down. Right now, I reckon that he is fixedly staring at my back figure and fantasizing, not sure if he is drooling or not. Calabash Brothers, 7 flowers on a vine. Not afraid of wind and rain, la 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 la, Qingye's delicate body froze, her pair of delicate hands tightly clenched. Seductress. Where are you running to? Not only is this fellow inhumane, there is also a problem with his IQ. Not only did he not watch me, he actually watched cartoons, and even watched Calabash Brothers. Humiliation. Where is the bathroom? Qingye asked angrily. Chapter 13. Bang! Qingye fiercely closed the bathroom door, and a crackling sound immediately rang out from the bathroom. If you break something, you will have to pay for it. Yihua rested his head on his pillow and shouted. There was a slight pause in the bathroom, and then a louder sound rang out. It was as if someone was tearing down a house. Half an hour later, Qingye walked out of the bathroom while wearing a bath towel. Call someone over to fix it, the faucet is bent. I don't have time, you call. Up to you, in any case, this isn't my house. Qingye spread out her hands, then sat on the bed and used the quilt to cover her body that even she was drooling over. Yihua let out a breath, then picked up the phone that was at the side and sent a message to Wei Chang. As a supreme overlord, if I have to do everything personally, then what is the point of having subordinates? However, where did Lai Gu run off to today? Could it be that he went to meet that female celebrity again? He really had no ambition at all. Where's your dog? Qingye leaned against the headboard of the bed and watched the cartoon together with Yihua. They went out to mate. Yihua said calmly. Qingye's eyebrows wrinkled, can't you speak properly? It's out to breed. You. Yihua, was this your state in the past? Qingye said in a deep voice. I feel that this man should be sick. Thinking about this, I feel a bit scared. Would my child be infected by this man? Yihua said faintly, no. What's it like? Yihua turned his head around, looked at the beautiful Qingye who was on the bed, and said faintly, terrifying. Yi Hua, when you aren't acting cool, you are still quite handsome. Qingye shook her head helplessly. From the looks of it, Yi Hua is just a chinibu. Yi Hua laughed lightly, act cool. In the past, many people tried to act tough in front of me, but none of them succeeded. Ha! Qingye was amused by Yi Hua. This man is always able to speak nonsense with a straight face, but at the same time, he is also able to anger me to the point of crying in an instant. Facing Qingye's laughter, Yi Hua chose to ignore it. No matter what, she is still my child's mother, just that she is a bit stupid, that's all. I'm really worried that my child's IQ will be dragged down by his biological mother. After a long while, Qingye said, come to my house for dinner tomorrow night. Alright. So straightforward. Is this guy trying to prank me again? Listen to me when the time comes. Alright. The more Yi Hua acted like this, the more worried Qingye was. I feel that Yi Hua is unreliable and sloppy. While thinking, Qingye slowly closed her beautiful eyes, and she actually dreamt of that night. Qingye. Qingye. A familiar voice rang out beside Qingye's ears, and Qingye said in a daze, stop messing around, I can't take it anymore, time to eat. Yi Hua said gravely. This woman is really stupid to the extreme, she is still recalling what happened that night. Eat? Qingye, who was in a beautiful dream, immediately woke up and pointed at Yi Hua, just now, you are having an erotic dream. Yi Hua said faintly. Impossible. Yi Hua revealed out a disdainful look, next time, I will record it for you. Die. Qingye bit onto her lips, then stretched out her hand and touched her face. Immediately, her face changed, and her face became completely red. Looking at Qingye, who rushed into the bathroom, Yi Hua let out a sigh, then opened Meituan and began ordering dishes. Stewed chicken with mushrooms seems to be pretty good, and also a few caddies of braised prawns. When Qingye came out of the bathroom again, the room was already filled with a fragrance. The bright red crayfish was giving off a fragrant steam, and one couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Taking out a small stool, Qingye started eating without any politeness. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled, this woman is really unruly. Didn't you say that you don't have money? Where did you get the money to order takeout? Qingye peeled a piece of crayfish meat, placed it into the broth, and then ate it with a satisfied look on her face. It is really delicious, subordinate's money. Yi Hua said faintly. Qingye almost spat out the crayfish meat, you actually used other people's money to order takeout. Even if you donated, there is no need for you to donate all of it, right? I found it troublesome, so I directly gave you my card. Awesome. After pausing for a while, Yi Hua continued, it is indeed not good to use subordinates' money, give me a card later. The corner of Qingye's mouth twitched, you can feel at ease just because you are using your wife's money. I don't know who said it, but money is just paper. Remember to give me a big overdraft card. Yi Hua didn't pay attention to Qingye at all. Qingye was very unhappy, why? Because you are my wife. Yi Hua also became angry. Using your money is because I think highly of you, and also because you are the mother of the child, if not, I wouldn't even give a damn about you. Qingye was actually speechless, I shall just treat it as giving him a fee for his hard work. Picking up the bag at the side, Yi Hua casually took out a black diamond card and placed it on the table. Yi Hua kept the card without any politeness and immediately bound it to WeChat, what's the password? 123456. Yi Hua went into a slight daze, this woman sure has character. After binding the card to WeChat, I finally don't need to use Wei Chang's money anymore. Because of this matter, she often complains about it, what a stingy monster. Yi Hua, who was in a good mood, said faintly, peel the crayfish for me. The crayfish in Qingye's hand immediately dropped, and she looked at Yi Hua in disbelief, why? Because you are my wife. Yi Hua said indifferently. Qingye slapped the table and stood up, am I your wife or your servant? There are a lot of rules to being my wife, you can slowly learn them. Yi Hua said calmly. Qingye snorted, whoever wants to be your wife can go ahead, in any case, after the child is born, we will get a divorce. After Qingye finished speaking, the atmosphere in the room froze. Yi Hua's gaze locked onto Qingye, causing the latter to shrink back. Qingye didn't feel that she did anything wrong. Giving him money, even giving him a child, I have more or less given him everything, and yet, he still wants this and that, not considering my feelings at all. I am already giving him a lot of face by not slamming the door and leaving. Sitting on the small stool, Qingye continued to eat. If I don't eat, it would be a waste, just look at me stupidly. In the past, Yi Hua could only eat by himself, but it was different now, he had a wife. If I were to do it, what would I do if news of this were to spread out, where would I put my face? This fellow really doesn't want to eat, not eating at noon, and still wants to be stubborn with me at night? Forget it, seeing that you are pitiful, I will give you a crayfish and reward you with a chicken butt, haha. Looking at Qingye, who took the initiative to send food over, Yi Hua's mood became a bit better. I feel that I am a bit rebellious today, the humanity that I had cultivated for a few years almost collapsed. Seeing Yi Hua eat the crayfish that she peeled, Qingye had a weird feeling in her heart, and unknowingly, she peeled another crayfish for Yi Hua. After that, the two of them didn't talk. Qingye ate one crayfish for herself, and then peeled another crayfish for Yi Hua. A few caddies of crayfish were instantly gone. So full, my fingers are hurting from peeling them. Qingye pouted her mouth, looked at her own slender fingers, and felt extremely heartache. Yi Hua turned around and said indifferently, clean up. Chapter 14. At this moment, Lai Gu barged into the room, giving Qingye a fright, and Lai Gu also trembled for a bit. Such a beautiful woman, woo woo. Lai Gu raised his head and cried out a few times. Imperial translation, Your Honor, didn't you say that you would only touch a woman for the first time? She is my wife. Yi Hua said faintly. Lai Gu fiercely bounced backwards and looked at Qingye in disbelief. Soon after, both of his legs knelt onto the ground and let out a long howl towards the sky. Woo woo. Imperial translation, Madam, please accept this little brother's bow. Qingye snorted, humans are weird, dogs are weird too. While grumbling with her mouth, her hands were cleaning the table, and she was using all her strength to wipe off the oil stains on the table, as if she couldn't bear to look at such a thing. Seems like she is also a woman who has misophobia. Meanwhile, Yi Hua was lying on the sofa, watching Calabash brothers fight against the spirit together with Lai Gu. After throwing away the trash, Qingye walked into the bedroom. Seeing that Yi Hua was still watching cartoons, Qingye shouted out, I am already as tired as a dog, can't you help me out? Yi Hua didn't even turn his head back as he stroked onto Lai Gu's head and said faintly, you are thinking too much, dogs aren't as tired as you are. Yi Hua. Do you want to quarrel? Qingye's beautiful eyes immediately turned red. This is my first time cleaning up, forget it that you are acting like a big boss, but to even ridicule me, how can there be such a man? Woo, woo, woo. Imperial translation, Your Honor, Madam is crying. Yi Hua shook his head. Yi Hua's mental endurance is extremely bad. Just a single sentence and she would be angered to tears. I really don't know how she earned all this money. In the past, Qingye wasn't like this. Perhaps it was because she was pregnant, her emotions fluctuated quite a bit. Furthermore, right now, she only trusted Yi Hua, and the state that Yi Hua was displaying right now was different from what she had imagined. This kind of feeling made her feel very confused and very wronged. Yi Hua switched off the television and said faintly, going out for a walk is beneficial to the fetus. Seeing that Yi Hua's tone had softened, Qingye snorted, not going. It had been a long time since someone had rejected him n times in a day, but he couldn't do anything about it. Lai Gu once again let out woo-woo sounds. Imperial translation, Your Honor, the madam sure has character. Yi Hua glared at Lai Gu, and the latter curled up his body in fear. This woman really needs to be taught a lesson. He grabbed Qingye's pure white wrist and said gravely, let's go. Not going, not going. Yi Hua didn't care about all that, and he immediately pulled her up and left. Be gentler, it hurts. It was the peak time of the bar, and many women were waiting as usual. A familiar voice came from the staircase, but it sounded a little rushed today, and there were other footsteps. When they saw that Yi Hua appeared while pulling along an outrageously beautiful woman, countless fragmented sounds could be heard within the leisure bar. This was heartbreak. Boss, he is actually holding on to another woman. They are so intimate. How can the boss be like this? Let go of the boss, he doesn't belong to you, he belongs to the whole world. However, the man sitting there was different. When he saw Qingya's face, he was stunned. It was not without reason that the boss liked this kind of woman. In the entire leisure bar, one could not find this kind of woman, that bright red beautiful eyes, delicate and charming. That's not right. How could a beauty's eyes turn red? Thinking about it, I reckon that the boss is too brutal. When Qingya heard those women's painful complaints, she felt disdain in her heart. What is so good about this man? All of you are just bewitched by his outer appearance, the only thing missing is to feed him when you are eating. Being his wife is the same as being his coolie. Furthermore, from time to time, you have to be lectured by him, and even ridiculed by him. Let go, I will leave. Qingya's anger calmed down quite a bit. Yi Hua let go of Qingya's wrist. Don't make me angry in the future. The anger that had just calmed down immediately ignited again. Yi Hua, just who is the one who made who angry? You better explain it to me today. The tone that you are using right now is making me angry. Yi Hua said indifferently. Qingya sneered, so what if I made you angry? If you have the guts, don't have a child. At most, I will raise the child myself, then marry someone else and let your child recognize someone else as his father. Yi Hua immediately stopped his footsteps. This woman is not only stupid, she is already stupid to the point of going crazy. What, angry? Want to hit me? Come, I will let you hit me. In any case, you only know how to bully me. Qingya shouted out angrily, bursting out all of the resentment in her heart. Yi Hua suddenly turned around, raised his hand, and with a pale face, a hint of hostility could be seen. Looking at Yi Hua, who was calm and scary, Qingya's beautiful eyes turned red again. He is really going to hit me. Tears that were as big as beans slid down from Qingya's beautiful face. The slap that she imagined did not land on Qingya's face, and instead, it landed on Qingya's face gently. I am not to the extent of hitting a woman. Yi Hua said gravely, then continued walking forward after finished speaking, leaving behind Qingya, who was in a daze. This bastard. He actually changed his ways to tease me. I definitely cannot tolerate it. I must definitely think of a way to deal with him, if not, I will definitely suffocate to death. After jogging for a while, Qingya caught up to the man in front of her, and the two of them came to the riverside to take a walk. The slight breeze made one feel relaxed and happy. Just that, Yi Hua and Qingya ignored each other. While walking, Qingya had been pondering over Yi Hua's weakness, and in the end, she came to a conclusion. No matter what, he wouldn't dare to really hit me, and would only dare to talk to me. As long as I make good use of this point, I will be able to make him angry. Have you prepared for tomorrow night's family feast? Qingya asked casually as she flicked her hair that was messed up by the wind. Too beautiful, the surrounding men all knocked into trees. Not to mention a family feast, even if it was a hangmen banquet, Yi Hua wouldn't even look straight at it. In this current situation, other than children, there was nothing and no one that could pique Yi Hua's interest. There is nothing to prepare. This was what Qingya disliked the most about Yi Hua. He was too pretentious, and he even said that I am pretentious. Your opponent is very strong. Back then, my grandpa got an illness from the battlefield, and it was cured by that fiancé of mine. My dad's scapulospondylitis was cured too, and my mom's rheumatism was also cured by him. Yi Hua silently took out a cigarette and lit it up. Right now, you are my wife, not someone else's fiancé. I am discussing tactics with you. What are you talking about this for? Qingya wrinkled her brows and said unhappily. Yihua took a puff of the cigarette, then slowly exhaled. There is no tactics to discuss, he is just an insignificant person. Can you not act cool? Qingya held onto her forehead and said. Could it be that this man suffers from the syndrome of acting cool after smoking? Every time he smokes, he is especially good at talking. When he is not smoking, he is a citizen of Long and City, but when he is smoking, Long and City is his. Leaning on the guardrail, Yihua flicked the cigarette ash and said indifferently, Qingya, your horizon is still too low. Here it comes again. My horizon is too low, you help me straighten it out then. Qingya also leaned on the guardrail, she wanted to hear what kind of bullshit this man was going to brag about. Chapter 15. Humph, I started my business when I was 20 years old. After 5 years, I have developed a company worth tens of billions from zero to the top 50 in the country. I dare to ask who in this world can do that. Qingya snorted. Speaking out about my glorious history, this is something to be proud of. As expected, I am the strongest woman in this world. Yihua squinted his eyes and took a look. Your family must have helped you quite a lot, right? Qingya's gaze became a bit erratic. That is only a small part of it. Let's not talk about this for now. If there is a sniper in that building, and the muzzle of the sniper's gun is currently pointed at you, what would you do? Yihua said calmly as he pointed at the building on the other side of the river. Qingya went into a daze for a moment, then said casually, call the police. The police came, but you were lying in a pool of blood, and the glory of your life was gone. Hearing Yihua's calm words, Qingya appeared to be very solemn, and for the first time, she didn't refute Yihua. Qingya sank into contemplation, and her gaze looked towards the opposite building. Yihua took out another stick of cigarette and lit it up. After that, he lightly puffed out a puff of smoke. However, his eyes were emitting out dense killing intent. In the sky above the river, a bullet cut through the air and flew towards Qingya's forehead. However, a strange wind suddenly stopped the bullet. Following the trajectory of the bullet, it quickly flew back. The sniper looked at the target through the scope of 8x scope. What a beautiful woman, what a pity, but 1 second after he fired, he didn't see the target's head explode. Impossible. Where did the bullets go? Bang! With a bang, the sniper rifle suddenly exploded. The sniper's neck was swept in half by the explosion, and his entire head fell down. The sniper tried his best to straighten his head, but to no avail. He leaned against the wall weakly and gradually lost consciousness until he died. Qingya was completely unaware of how dangerous it was just a moment ago, and was still thinking about a problem. In the end, she forcefully said, how can there be so many bad people? The bad guys are everywhere. Maybe they are right beside you. I think that you look just like him. Qingya pouted her mouth. This man is just full of crooked ways. Yihua flicked away the cigarette but once again and said, I just want to tell you, rather than letting your life be controlled by others, you might as well control everyone. Controlling everyone. Qingya looked at Yihua without blinking, and after a long time, she said, Yihua. Do you want me to be the bad guy? Bad guy? Hee hee. Yihua laughed lightly. Hey, stop right there and explain yourself. What are you laughing at? Stop right there, you scoundrel. Qingya hurriedly chased after Yihua, then suddenly jumped onto Yihua's back and hugged onto Yihua's neck. The latter's face darkened as he shouted, come down. No rules. No. Are we going down or not? Not going down. If you have the guts, throw me into the river. Qingya snorted. Yihua could be seen walking towards the guardrail, and Qingya began to become a bit nervous. Seeing that Yihua was preparing to step onto the guardrail, Qingya shouted out loudly, I'll go down, all right. Yihua looked coldly at Qingya. She actually wants me to carry her on my back. If word of this got out, where would his face go? As a supreme being, he was actually carrying a woman on his back. Don't be so rude next time. Yi Hua said coldly. Qingye said in disdain, do you think that you are an emperor? Rude, would it kill you to carry your wife on your back? Yes, he will die. You. On the way back, Yi Hua secretly informed Lai Gu and told him to go and investigate that assassin, but to not mess up the crime scene. It will be fine as long as the investigation is done secretly. I really want to see who has such guts to actually want to murder my own bloodline. Returning back to Leisure Bar, Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. In the past, Leisure Bar would always be packed with people, but today, more than half of the people were actually gone. What's going on? Qingye saw through the situation with a single glance and shouted out sweetly, Yi Hua, I am going up to take a bath, quickly come up. Immediately, the few women slammed the door and left. Qingye felt that her entire body was feeling comfortable, and Yi Hua took a few deep breaths. Sooner or later, I will be driven crazy by this woman. Boss. Wei Cheng shouted out respectfully. Yi Hua looked around, then said gravely, let's do this for now. Boss, if this goes on, we will have to close down in a few months. Wei Cheng was very helpless. Ever since the lady boss appeared, the women in the bar were more or less all gone. Those women were the main customers. Normally, Yi Hua wouldn't sigh, but right now, he also sighed. It will be fine after I move out in a few days. Boss, you are moving out. Wei Cheng was in disbelief. His honor has been living here for 5 years. Why is he moving out at this time? And, in the future, you just have to look after this place. Yi Hua said faintly. Wei Cheng nodded his head, then said carefully, Boss, my card is less than 200 RMB tonight. Black lines appeared on Yi Hua's forehead. In the future, I won't be using your card anymore. Boss is benevolent. Wei Cheng was overjoyed. His honor finally doesn't need to use my money anymore. I almost burst into tears. Walking into the bedroom, Yi Hua discovered that Qingye went to take a bath again. Just how many times does this woman have to take a bath in a day? Her obsession with cleanliness is even stronger than me. After a long while, Qingye slowly walked out of the bedroom and said faintly, everyone left? Yi Hua laid on the bed and did not speak, looking at the latest magazine that he was holding on to. TSK, 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 looking at the situation today, we will have to close down in a few months, right? Qingye was very happy. There was nothing more enjoyable than looking at Yi Hua's miserable face. Yi Hua closed the magazine and said faintly, it doesn't matter, your card is with me. Scoundrel, using a woman's money, gigolo. Using my wife's money, fair and square. Yi Hua said calmly. Yi Hua, just how thick is your face? Qingye laid on the bed and stretched out her hand towards Yi Hua's face and pinched it. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled, what are you doing? Yo, you are even getting angry. TSK, who are you showing it to? Qingye said in disdain, then directly laid on the side of the bed. Who allowed you to sleep on the bed? Yi Hua asked gravely. This woman actually dared to sleep on the bed without my permission. Qingye pursed her lips, if you are not happy, you can go and sleep on the sofa. Yi Hua's fingers were trembling from anger. If she endure it. After enduring it for the next 9 months, I will be able to return back to my peaceful life. Long Outyan's mood was pretty good today. Upon thinking about how he has such a beautiful fiancée, he became extremely excited. It is really too rare to see a fiancée who is beautiful to that degree. Furthermore, I cured her family's illness and won the favor of the elders. Although she rejected me on the surface, she was actually feeling embarrassed in her heart. How could I possibly not understand this? This is how novels are written. First, I hooked up with the cold and elegant CEO, then hooked up with a superstar, and then hooked up with some hidden missy. This is the true portrayal of me, Long Outyan. I will not live my life in vain anymore, haha. I wonder what Qingye is doing at this time. I should make a phone call to say goodnight first. Chapter 16. At this moment, Qingya's phone suddenly rang, and Yihua immediately shook Qingya. Her phone is ringing. Sob, sob, sob. Yihua had never seen such an annoying woman before. Suddenly regretting the decision he made that day, he picked up the phone on the bedside and took a look at it. Seeing that it was an unfamiliar number, he immediately hung up the phone. He didn't expect them to fight again. Yihua took a few deep breaths. Feeling that he was on the verge of going berserk, Yihua immediately answered the call. Qingya, are you asleep? Long Outyan asked tenderly. With a straight face, Yihua replied coldly, she is asleep. After finished speaking, Yihua hung up the phone. Long Outyan, who was far away in Gaohai City, was stunned. He looked at his phone and scratched his head. A man had answered the phone just now. It is only 11 o'clock right now, it must definitely be someone hired by Qingya, it must definitely be, hee. Forcing out a smile, after sitting for a while, I hurriedly rushed out and drove towards Long-an City in the middle of the night. After waiting for a long time, Yihua finally felt a bit sleepy and slowly laid down on the bed. However, just as he was about to sleep, the woman turned over with a bang and pressed him down with her leg. Her hands were still wrapped around him, and her head was actually resting on his chest. Most importantly, she was drooling. Yihua really wanted to use magic to return to 1 month ago and pretend that nothing had happened. However, after thinking about it, he still decided to give up on that idea. Touching onto Qingya's flat lower abdomen, Yihua could feel that familiar bloodline coming from there. Yihua's irritable mood calmed down. Wu Qingya, who was in her sleep, let out a series of soft gasps. Yihua really wanted to shout out, in your head. It's really endless. Why didn't I see her sob that night? Oh right. She finally fainted that night. Yihua, I am going to beat up your pig head. Qingya, who was in deep sleep, let out a low voice. Yihua's expression was gloomy, and he really wanted to kick this woman awake. Forget about drooling, she is even talking in her sleep. Listening to the countless curses, Yihua gradually fell asleep. A red sun slowly rose from the east, and golden sunlight shone on the earth. Qingya was just like an octopus as she hugged onto Yihua without a care for her image. In actuality, she had the habit of hugging onto a doll to sleep, and it was a typical case of lacking a sense of security. Ring, ring, ring. The ringtone of his phone suddenly rang. Yihua wrinkled his brows. My phone is basically switched off at night, so it must be this woman's phone. The phone is ringing. Yihua shouted out gravely. Qingya, who was in a daze, raised her head, then stretched out her hand and picked up the phone. Who is it? So early in the morning. Qingya, it's me, Outyan. The reason why Long Outyan drove over the entire night was because he wanted to know if Qingya was real or fake. Yihua said unhappily, next time, turn off your phone before going to bed. Got it, you're so long-winded. Qingya said impatiently, then hung up the phone, then turned off the phone and continued to sleep. Long Outyan, who was sitting in the car, was stunned. This man's voice was the same as the one from last night. Did they really fall asleep? This is not possible. Long Outyan, am a peerless little fairy doctor, how can my woman be slept with by another man? This is not possible. The huge rage caused the steering wheel to be deformed, and the originally ordinary face became even more twisted and sinister. Qingya. If you dare to do anything to me, I will make you pay the price. On the other side, Yihua was no longer sleepy and said faintly, how long are you going to lie down for? Qingya wrinkled her brows and immediately raised her head. Her face was filled with panic. Why am I lying in his embrace? He must have forcefully pulled me into his embrace. What did you do to me? Qingya said angrily. Yihua sneered, then pointed to his own pajamas. What did you do? So disgusting, your saliva even dripped onto your own chest. Qingya said with a look of disdain. Yihua knew that this woman would quibble. Luckily, I recorded it before going to bed. When Qingye saw her sleeping appearance and that alluring voice, her entire person felt uncomfortable. After thinking for a while, she said, "You pervert, to actually secretly record me. Stay away from me when you sleep tonight." Yihua said gravely. Qingye just didn't like this attitude of Yihua's. The more Yihua acted like this, the more firm Qingye became. "I want it, so what about it? You are my husband, what's wrong with leaning against me?" Yihua suddenly thought of something and laughed lightly. Qingye felt unhappy when she saw Yihua's smile. "He is definitely mocking me." "What are you laughing at? Don't hide it." Qingye shouted. "I'm laughing at you." "What are you laughing at me for? What's so funny about me?" Qingye sat up straight, her arrogant body immediately revealed itself. Qingye didn't really mind, after all, the two of them had already done intimate things. Furthermore, they were husband and wife right now, although it felt a bit fake. The corner of Yihua's mouth slightly raised as he looked at Qingye. Qingye's entire body trembled. "I feel that this isn't a good thing." "Then, do you remember that night?" "That night?" Qingye muttered in a low voice and immediately remembered. "You are shameless." Yihua laughed once again. "Do you still remember what you called me that night?" Qingye flipped through her memories. "That night, in a daze, what did I call him? What did I call him?" Immediately, Qingye's expression changed greatly, and her face became as red as a piece of pig's liver. "You are not allowed to say it. You remember?" Seeing Qingye's panicking look, Yihua expressed that he was very pleased. "Don't you like to be stubborn? You are not allowed to say it. When a certain someone is excited, he called me, woo-woo." Just as Yihua wanted to say it, his mouth was immediately covered by Qingye. "I will fight it out with you." An hour later, the two of them sat at a stall and ate breakfast. The corner of Yihua's mouth slightly rose up, while the corner of Qingye's mouth was drooping down, and her delicate little face was bright red. Seems like this morning's competition ended with Yihua's victory. "The youtiao is too long, tear it into 3 sections." Yihua said lightly. Qingye was just about to retort back, but when she saw the shape of Yihua's mouth, she immediately cowered. Her delicate hand picked up the long youtiao and used force with both of her hands. The surrounding men didn't know what was going on, but their bodies trembled. "This woman is too savage. You look very much like a resentful woman." Yihua picked up the youtiao and stirred it with the kanji. "The taste is not bad." Qingye snorted. "Isn't it all because you forced me to? You don't have to shout." "You." Qingye's delicate little face became red again. "This scoundrel is grabbing onto my dark history and not letting go. He is too much of a scoundrel." Yihua elegantly drank a mouthful of kanji and said faintly, "As long as you are obedient, I cannot mention it." "You are a scoundrel." Qingye scolded in a low voice. "Disobedient again. Why should I listen to you? Based on you calling me, don't say it." Qingye immediately covered Yihua's mouth, causing the surrounding men to be envious. Yihua wrinkled his brows, and the latter immediately retracted her hand. Chapter 17. As long as you don't make excessive demands, I'll listen to you. In the end, Qingye was still terrified. Qingye decided to be a wretched person for the time being and slowly develop. "When the time comes for me to find out about his dark history, I will be able to go wild." Yihua was very satisfied as he nodded his head and said, "You have made some progress." Qingye snorted, wishing that she could pick up the bowl of kanji in her hand and cover that perfect face of hers. "After eating breakfast, we will go to buy gifts. Come to my house for lunch." Qingye pouted her mouth and said. Yihua didn't object to it and lightly agreed. Qingye thought that Yihua would say something weird again, and didn't expect that he would agree so straightforwardly. Seems like he isn't being unreasonable, tsk. He was just looking for trouble. He hoped that nothing would go wrong today. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. However, in this world, who would be able to afford to buy a gift from me? Not to mention, having a meal together with them was a blessing that I had cultivated for several lifetimes. Just like this woman beside me, being able to get pregnant with my child was something that she should be the most proud of, and all of the women in the world would be envious of her. After buying some cigarettes, alcohol, and health supplements, the two of them returned to leisure bar. Qingya, on the other hand, was choosing clothes in the room. She definitely had to dress herself up beautifully. Although she was already beautiful enough, which girl would still complain that she wasn't beautiful enough? As for Yi Hua, he was still wearing a suit. No matter when he goes out, he would always be wearing a black suit. This point would not change, even if it was the hot summer. Standing at the bar counter, Yi Hua concocted a cup of wine for himself. In this world, wine and cigarettes are indeed good things. If I were to make a ranking, wine would be number 1, cigarettes would be number 2, and women would barely be number 3. Wu Lai Gu suddenly appeared and howled a few times towards Yi Hua. Royal translation, Your Honor, I have already investigated this matter. This person is someone from an international assassin group. I have interrogated his soul, and he only received assassination missions. If you want to investigate this matter, you will have to go to the London headquarters. Yi Hua lightly took a sip of the rose rain that he had prepared, then said faintly, There's nothing to investigate, just kill them all. Wu, Imperial translation, Your Honor, I still have an appointment today. How about we let Wei Chang go instead? It has been a long time since he ate something good. Yi Hua narrowed his eyes and looked at Lai Gu, You are still together with that female celebrity? Lai Gu fiercely shook his head, then obediently sat on the ground and stuck out his tongue. For a bone dragon to act like this, there really isn't anyone else. Yi Hua sighed lightly, Wei Chang. Space suddenly distorted, and Wei Chang's figure slowly walked out. Wei Chang knelt down on one knee and placed his right hand on his chest, Your Honor. Lai Gu said that you haven't eaten your fill for a long time. Yi Hua lit up a cigarette and looked at his subordinate coldly through the smoke. Wei Chang said gravely, Your Honor, you said before that we must be humane, subordinate doesn't dare to eat too much. Lai Gu wants you to go and have a good meal. There is an assassin group in London, you go and deal with it. Yi Hua said coldly. At this moment, he had already sentenced those people to death. Wei Chang was a little depressed and didn't give a straightforward answer. What? Your Honor, will you reimburse me for the return air ticket? Bang! The wine cup in Yi Hua's hand immediately shattered. That woman is already irritated enough, and right now, even my two subordinates dare to openly disobey my orders. It seems like you two want to rebel against me. Yi Hua's pupils suddenly turned red, appearing extremely bewitching. However, this was also a symptom of Yi Hua getting angry. This subordinate dares not. Woof, Imperial translation, this subordinate dares not. 1 hour later, if that assassin group isn't exterminated, I will exterminate you too. Yi Hua waved his hand. Seems like my decision was wrong. Being humane will cause one to rebel. In the past, they wouldn't go against my orders, and it could also be that my temper is getting better and better. Lai Gu and Wei Chang were slapped to the Pacific Ocean, and right now, they were soaking in the seawater. Woof, Imperial translation, gluttonous monster, you actually rejected such a good thing. Wei Chang said helplessly, Your Honor said that we should be humane. Recently, I have been reading a novel, and in that novel, the protagonist spoke to the boss like this. Woof, Imperial translation, you will be harmed by the novel sooner or later, and I almost got implicated by it. Why didn't you go? Didn't you like to do this kind of thing the most in the past? Wei Chang asked puzzledly. Exterminating a family was Lai Gu's favorite, and the number of people that died in his hands was innumerable, especially the females. Woof, Imperial translation, a celebrity asked me to go mountain climbing today. I reckon that there is definitely a cave in that mountain. Wei Chang said faintly, then his body gradually floated up, and his wet security uniform instantly dried up. Woof, 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 Imperial translation, how did you know? Wei Chang rolled his eyes, if there isn't a cave, would you go? After finished speaking, a black hole appeared in front of Wei Chang once again. After Wei Chang stepped into the black hole, his entire body disappeared. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation, gluttonous monster, you actually didn't send me off, I am going to be late for my date. Lai Gu howled in grief as he slowly moved forward in the seawater using a doggy crawling style. However, a huge black figure suddenly appeared beneath Lai Gu's body. A huge whale opened its bloody mouth and swallowed both the dog and the fish, then dived back into the sea. The surface of the sea returned back to normal, but the huge whale at the bottom of the sea seemed to be in pain. Streaks of blood flowed out from the huge whale's mouth, and countless great white sharks were attracted over. PFFF. Suddenly, huge bone wings stretched out from the two sides of the huge whale. After the wings were spread out, the huge whale's head began to distort. With a bang, the huge whale's head exploded and was replaced by a huge dragon head. The fangs on the huge whale's head made one's hair stand on end, and the dragon's tail pierced through the huge whale's tail. This should be a huge whale that can fly, right? Woof, 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 Imperial translation, much faster, Lai Gu suddenly recalled something. I am already used to woof, it doesn't seem too good for me to still woof after becoming a dragon, if this were to be spread out, I will lose face. Roar, roar, roar. The dragon's roar formed a huge whirlpool at the bottom of the sea and immediately spread towards the surroundings. A huge whale with wings happily swam in the sea. However, at the bottom of the sea in another direction, a little golden dragon appeared. At this moment, the little golden dragon was looking at its surroundings vigilantly. Just now, when it was swallowing fishes, it suddenly heard a dragon's roar that caused one's heart to tremble. Could it be that there is still someone who possesses a devouring system? How is that possible? Its level is actually so high. This place is not suitable to stay for long, I should first go back to school to eat some fishes and earn some money. Chapter 18. Wei Chang wore a light blue security uniform and arrived at the entrance of the castle and politely extended his hand. Bang, bang, bang. He knocked on the door. It must be said that Wei Chang's luck was not bad. Today just happened to be the day of the assassin group's regular meeting, and they were discussing the mission of Long and City last night. In the depths of the castle, 10 higher-ups were having a serious discussion. They were dressed appropriately, and with a glance, one could tell that they were the elites of the upper class. Cold-blooded is our S-rank assassin, how could he fail? I don't know, I feel that we should put this mission aside for now. China is not a good place. If Caesar is still here, he will definitely oppose this mission. Furthermore, Cold-blooded is Caesar's friend. Caesar has already left, let's not talk about it. Wei Chang knocked on the door for a minute, but no one actually opened the door. He seemed to be a little impatient. Suddenly, a black light shot out from his fingertip and rushed into the sky. It stopped at a height of 100 meters and formed a black umbrella, enveloping the castle within. Bang! A gunshot rang out, a bright yellow bullet shot towards Wei Chang's head. Just that, before it could touch Wei Chang's body, it was blocked by a formless black light. The bullet fell onto the ground powerlessly, and a helpless sound rang out. Wei Chang stared at the sniper on the spire and extended his hand. There wasn't any huge explosion, but rather, his arm deformed. It turned into an unknown object with a big mouth. The sniper on the spire was stupefied. What the fuck is this monster? With this moment of distraction, that monster with only a mouth already appeared in front of him. Rows of sharp teeth, as it opened its mouth, that sliver of mucus made people tremble in fear. Without waiting for the sniper to scream, that sinister big mouth already covered the sniper's head, and like a snake, it directly swallowed the sniper. However, seeing that the extremely long arm was like a throat, that swelling thing was that person, and it was really being transported into Wei Chang's body. Licking his lips, Wei Chang's eyes completely turned black as he muttered, "The taste of humans is still so tempting." The alarms suddenly rang out, and the higher-ups in the castle were immediately startled. What happened? Is Interpol here? I don't know, something must have happened outside. What's there to worry about? Every year, there will always be some arrogant fellows. Continue with the meeting. Wei Chang chuckled and opened up his arms, forming countless big mouth monsters. Each big mouth monster seemed to have a target, and they pierced through the buildings. The huge castle seemed to be wrapped up by a giant octopus, and the scene was terrifying. Moreover, it could be clearly seen that every throat had a bulging substance entering Wei Chang's body. Burp, this is the taste. I haven't tasted it for a few years, and today, I am going to break my taboo. His honor sure is benevolent. The siren immediately disappeared, and the higher-ups in the secret room heaved a sigh of relief. See, I told you, they're just some small fries. The others smiled and didn't think much of it. They were the only ones left in the castle. Of course, Wei Chang had to put the main dish at the end to announce their death. This was the old rule. Wei Chang pushed open the door and entered the castle. There were all sorts of armors and oil paintings. Wei Chang took them all and walked towards the main hall. When he arrived at the center of the hall, Wei Chang stopped and stepped with his right foot. His whole body immediately descended, breaking through all kinds of concrete, and reached the lowest level of the conference room. He stared at the 10 middle-aged men who were in the middle of a meeting. The 10 higher-ups were discussing the direction of the corporation's discovery. Suddenly, a person descended from above. It was a stranger wearing a uniform. Those who understood Chinese could see the armband immediately. Security. Who are you? One of the men stood up and shouted. Wei Chang slowly approached, and a few of the men had already pulled out their pistols. Bang, bang, bang. The bullets couldn't even enter Wei Chang's body, and all of them landed at Wei Chang's feet. My name is Wei Chang. I am one of the 7 deadly sins under the Supreme Overlord, gluttony. To be able to die under the Supreme Overlord's command is your fortune, so please give up resisting. Wei Chang opened up his arms and had a look of enjoyment on his face. It was as if he had returned to the past. The scenes of massacring and killing instantly appeared in his mind. Also, this special line, "It has been a long time since I said it." My tone doesn't seem to have any feeling. Should I say it again? What bullshit. Wei Chang cast a glance, and his arm instantly turned into a big mouth monster, swallowing the man. The other 9 were all stunned. What kind of monster is this? Is it a movie? Is it an alien? Wei Chang's arm could be seen once again turning into 9 big mouth monsters, and the big mouth monsters floated above everyone's head. Viscous liquid dripped down from the big mouth monsters, and the liquid dripped onto their unique hairstyle. Caesar won't let, ah. Before they could even finish speaking, the 9 people were instantly swallowed up. Burp, Wei Chang let out a burp. Although it wasn't much, I still enjoyed it to my heart's content. I don't know how long I have to wait for the next time. As for the Caesar that they were talking about. It must be a joke. Evil spirit, death mage. Just like that day, a skeleton that was wearing a black robe rose from the ground, then kneeled in front of Wei Chang. Master. Clean up. I will solemnly obey Master's command. Wei Chang casually turned into a black hole and went into the leisure bar. And this death mage floated in the sky and chanted silently. Soon after, he raised his staff, Hellfire. Immediately, countless fireballs appeared in the sky and bombarded the castle, leaving behind only a piece of scorched earth. Wei Chang, who returned to the leisure bar, did not see Yi Hua. He first hung the oil painting that he conveniently took from the bar on the wall, then contacted Yi Hua. At this moment, Yi Hua, who was currently sitting in the car, heard Wei Chang's report. Looking at his watch, 26 minutes. However, there is another way to deal with this matter. Wei Chang still has his old temper. I will properly educate him when I return. One must use one's brain when doing things. The one who was driving the car was naturally Qingye. Her ice-cold face appeared to be panting with anger. This fellow is really lazy to the extreme. He doesn't even know how to drive a car, and he still wants me, a girl, to drive for him. What a big uncle. Yi Hua, can you find some time to go and get your driving license? Qingye couldn't help but say. Yi Hua opened the window and said faintly, it will be fine as long as you know how to drive. But in the future when my stomach becomes big, it won't be good for me to drive. Hire a driver then. Qingye was actually speechless. Not only is this man lazy, he also doesn't have any motivation. He even teases me all day long. Even that fiancé of mine isn't as crazy as him. Qingye. Yi Hua called out lightly. What is it? Don't expect me to do boring things. Yi Hua said faintly, then took out a stick of cigarette, paused for a moment, then kept it. When Qingye, who was originally going to get angry, saw Yi Hua's action, she pouted her mouth and actually didn't say anything. The two of them drove towards the suburbs. Chapter 19. But what was certain was that the current Qing family was also very powerful. It was one of the largest groups in the country. Unfortunately, there were no men in the Qing family in this generation, only 2 women. Although their talents were not bad, they were still women after all. In the future, they would also have to marry someone. Marrying a woman from the Qing family was equivalent to marrying a mountain of gold and silver, and could even become the object of envy for men. Yi Hua was the man who married Qing family's woman. Unfortunately, it was all for the sake of the child in the woman's stomach, and he didn't have any feelings for her at all. The air in the suburbs was a lot fresher. Yi Hua opened the window and narrowed his eyes. Your family sure is rich, to even specially build a road. Yi Hua said lightly. Qingye let out a breath. Having a lot of money is also a problem. I can help you relieve your worries. Yi Hua said faintly. Yi Hua, do you really have the nerve to use my money? You are a man, don't you know how to earn money yourself? Qingye couldn't help but lecture. Although I am able to support him for my entire life, I don't want to see him not thinking about improving himself. Yi Hua rubbed his temple, and his tone was still as calm as before. I'm just bored. Hee, can you not act cool, Qingye? Your acting is much deeper than mine, right? Right when the two of them were preparing to quarrel with each other, a red Ferrari F12 whizzed by, sweeping up a bunch of leaves, and one of the leaves even landed on Yi Hua's shoulder. According to the custom from 5 years ago, this car would be sliced into 2 halves by Yi Hua using tree leaves. Qingye wrinkled her eyebrows as she stared at the Ferrari in front of her. Her beautiful eyes revealed out a bit of energy as she fiercely stepped on the accelerator. After all, Audi A8 was used for business purposes. How could it be a match for Ferrari F12? Qingye could not even see the back of the car anymore, and unwillingly, she slowed down the car's speed. That fiancé of yours? Yi Hua asked faintly. No, but I'm more annoyed than that man. Yi Hua's interest seemed to have been piqued. To be able to become the target of Qingye's anger, I reckon that this person should be someone important, right? Tell me. She is my half-sister, Qing Yutong. Qingye said coldly, seemingly not having a good relationship with this little sister of hers. However, Yi Hua became even more interested. Is it that celebrity, Qing Yutong? Is there a second one? That's not right. Do you have feelings for her? According to Qingye's understanding of Yi Hua, this man indeed isn't interested in ordinary beauties. However, the person that he took the initiative to speak about was only his own sister. Yi Hua nodded his head. Of course I do. However, I didn't come to Qing Bar in person, and instead, I waited for her big sister to come over. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua laughed. This is the benefit of not being in control, everything is filled with surprises and surprises. A layer of frost instantly covered Qing Ye's face as she said in a deep voice, "You're my husband now. It's not appropriate for you to have thoughts about my sister-in-law in front of me, right? What's inappropriate about it? It's normal for a man and a woman to be in love. You're comfortable, but you don't want your sister to be comfortable? TSS TSS TSS. The tires left behind black marks on the ground, and Qing Ye's expression became a bit colder, looking as if she wanted to perish together with Yi Hua. Say that again. Do you want to quarrel with me again? Yi Hua asked coldly. You're the one who wants to fight. You're my husband now. Yi Hua couldn't help but take out a cigarette and lit it up. There's no doubt that I'm your husband. Then, you're still having thoughts about my sister? Qing Ye questioned angrily. I never force anyone. That day, you also did it willingly. If your sister were to deliver herself to me, I wouldn't reject her. Yi Hua straightforwardly made it clear. Yi Hua rather admired Qing Yutong. 5 years ago, Qing Yutong was a small character that gradually became an international superstar. Yi Hua had witnessed the entire process. If it was changed to his own world, Qing Yutong would definitely be a supreme existence. Hearing Yi Hua's promise, Qing Ye let out a sigh of relief. Don't worry, she won't feed you like how I fed you. What if? I'll give you condoms. Qing Ye said fiercely. Ha! Yi Hua let out a hearty laugh. Although this woman would make me angry at times, but sometimes, she also seems to be very, what is she? Using humans' words, she should be cute, right? Forget it, she's just stupid. You're still laughing. I'm going to fight it out with you. To be honest, Yi Hua wasn't good at fighting like this. Facing against Qing Ye's pinching tactics, Yi Hua didn't have the strength to fight back at all. Qing Ye discovered that Yi Hua didn't fight back, and became even more insatiable. Enough! Yi Hua couldn't help but shout out. Enough is enough. Qing Ye snorted, then started the car and drove towards the manor that was not far away. There were 2 security guards standing outside the black iron gate. Just that, the security guard's attire was of a higher class than Wei Chang's attire, at least reaching the level of a suit. Big miss. Qing Ye said coldly, open the door. The 2 security guards foolishly looked at Qing Ye driving into the manor, and even after a few minutes, they still didn't react. Big miss seems to have changed. One of the security guards said blankly. And, she became even more beautiful than second miss. However, I feel that second miss is still. It is still better to conquer her, after all, second miss is now an international superstar. Indeed, there is nothing to say about second miss's figure, but who is that man? Isn't big miss's fiancé already here? I feel that there will be a good show to watch today. That man just now seemed to be very awesome. Yi Hua, who was sitting in the car, laughed again. He had heard the conversation between the security guards. And when Qing Ye saw Yi Hua laughing, she felt unhappy. She was definitely thinking of dirty things. Those 2 security guards are comparing you with Qing Yutong. Humph. Qing Ye snorted. Although my little sister's reputation is great, I am not just for show. The manor's architecture leaned towards European style. There was a rockery fountain at the entrance of the house, showing off a sense of grandeur. There was also a helicopter at the side, and that Ferrari F12 from just now was already parked at the side. Within the helicopter, there was also a Rolls-Royce and a Bentley, just that there was a Passat parked at the side, making it seem a bit low-class. When Qing Ye saw that Passat, her eyebrows slightly wrinkled. I didn't expect that Long Outyen would come so early. This car is even provided by the company. This man sure is impatient. When are you going to provide me with a car? Yi Hua said after closing the car door. In any case, I just want to see Qing Ye get angry. This is simply too stupid, Qing Ye said petulantly. Isn't the card with you? If you want to buy something, go and buy it yourself. I wonder how much the most expensive car costs. Yi Hua said in a low voice. And Qingya almost sprained her leg, this bastard. Yi Hua. Please stop messing around, we are already at my house, listen to my arrangements for everything. Alright. Qingya sighed, I hope that I don't screw up later on. Qingya could be seen walking to the front of Yi Hua, then lightly tidied up her collar with both of her hands until she was satisfied, then held onto Yi Hua's arm and walked towards the door. Yi Hua's brows slightly wrinkled, that moment just now was very strange, it seems like I am not that lonely anymore. Chapter 20. After opening the door and entering the house, Yi Hua couldn't help but sigh with emotion. This woman's family is not just ordinary rich, but only this kind of family would be able to bring up this kind of woman. If he was not mistaken, the flooring should be sandalwood. 1 square meter cost around a few thousand yuan. For such a big house, just the flooring alone was not a small expense, not to mention the other furniture, which would cost at least hundreds of thousands, and at most millions. Your family sure is rich. Yi Hua said faintly. Qingya said lightly, I'm alright. This woman was starting to show off again. It seemed like she couldn't be praised. Young miss, you're finally back. An old man who was wearing butler attire could be seen walking over with a smile. When the old man saw Yi Hua, the old man went into a slight daze, but very quickly, the old man returned back to his original expression. Qingya revealed out a light smile, Uncle Fu. Second Miss and Mr. Long have arrived, Uncle Fu said with a smile. Qingya nodded her head, then took out a pair of ladies' slippers from the shoe cabinet and gracefully took off her high heels. Uncle Fu sighed with emotion. The young miss seemed to be a little different than before. She seemed to be even more beautiful. Shoes. Yi Hua said faintly. Qingya really wanted to give him a slap. Is there anyone like you who acts like a big boss, you even want me to take your shoes? However, when he saw that Yi Hua was holding so many gifts in his hands, he reluctantly decided to help him this once. This time, it was Uncle Fu's turn to be surprised. The young miss was actually squatting on the ground to help him change his shoes. Who was this man? A friend? Probably not that close. Boyfriend? That shouldn't be the case. The young Miss fiancé was still sitting inside, and his identity had been confirmed by the old master. It's too small. Yi Hua said faintly. Qingya almost flipped out. Don't think that you can be like this just because you are the father of the child. Uncle Fu smiled and said, Sir, I'll help you find it. Please wait a moment. No need, Uncle Fu. There's another pair here. This time, Yi Hua was finally able to pass through Qingya's body, and he no longer had any reason to make things difficult for Qingya. Eldest miss, sir, please come in. Qingya was a little nervous. After all, this time, I came here to lay my cards on the table and refuse to be an obedient girl. Uncle Fu, is my mother back? Qingya asked. Master, Madam, and Second Madam are all back, Uncle Fu said. Yi Hua was a little curious, what does this Second Madam mean? Originally, I thought that Qingya's mother had already passed away. After all, Qingya had said that Qing Yutong was her half-sister, but from the looks of it, that was not the case at all. Her father actually had 2 women, and he even openly brought them home. Interesting. How refreshing. Seeing that Yi Hua was smiling, Qingya immediately knew what Yi Hua was thinking about, and she angrily stomped on Yi Hua. A layer of slipper mark appeared on Yi Hua's pair of pure white socks, and his misophobia immediately erupted. Do you want to quarrel here? Yi Hua said coldly. This woman is getting too arrogant. Humph. How could Yi Hua tolerate the stain on his socks? He couldn't help but want to chop it off. Give me a pair of socks. You. Qingya was also very angry. Isn't it just a bit darker? Was there a need to make such a fuss? Quickly go. Yi Hua said gravely. I can't tolerate this for even half a minute. Uncle Fu hurried over. Sir, please wait a moment. Uncle Fu, don't pay attention to him. Qingye was starting to get angry. Right now, it is true that I will change it, but what about in the future? He was even more insatiable. Big Miss, Yihua's gaze became colder and colder, to the point that he seemed like he was about to go berserk. Qingye, this is the last warning to you. Then, this is the last warning to you too. I am not your servant, I am your wife, my patience is limited. Uncle Fu's eyes opened wide, as if he had seen Thanos invading the earth. Big Miss actually said that, she is my wife. What is going on? This was the first time that Yihua had seen such an arrogant woman, and he was simply about to explode from anger. If not for the child in my stomach, take off your socks. Yihua took a few deep breaths and controlled his anger. In recent years, my temper has become better and better. If it was in the past, I would have already started massacring. Yo, this man actually gave in, I thought that he was going to fight me to the end. Since you took a step back, then I will also take a step back. Qingye obediently squatted down and took off Yihua's socks. Only then did Yihua's anger calm down. Uncle Fu felt that his world was changing. What is going on with Big Miss? She even bent down and helped this man take off his socks. In the future, you better not talk back to me, my temper is not good. Yihua said coldly. Qingye snorted, I am a pregnant woman, you better not make me angry. Pregnant woman. Uncle Fu had a feeling that he was going to faint. My God. Are they acting for me to see, or are they really going to do it for real? But isn't their aura a little too strange? Both of them don't like to talk to each other, yet they are so intimate with each other. I hope that Big Miss won't go overboard today. My grandfather and master have been worried to death because of this matter. The corridor was not very long, and as Uncle Fu pushed open the double doors, a few people appeared in front of Yihua. Those few people also looked towards Yihua, and their gazes seemed as if they were looking at Yihua's real body. Long Outyan came early in the morning. Of course, his purpose was very clear, and that was to curry favor with Qing family's people, check their pulse, and tell them some things to keep in good health. Qingye's grandfather was 80 years old this year, and his body had all kinds of chronic illnesses. However, ever since Long Outyan appeared, all of his illnesses were controlled, and even slowly became better. Also, his wife, son, and 2 daughters-in-law were all cured by Long Outyan. I didn't expect that my old comrade would have such a formidable grandson. If Qingye and him were to become a couple, it would definitely be Qing family's fortune. Outyan, how are you getting along with Qingye? Qing Qingren drank the tea brewed by his wife, Wang Muqing, and asked with a smile. Long Outyan's looks were rather good, and could be considered to be able to squeeze into the ranks of handsome guys. His casual attire was also very clean, but it was lacking a bit of prestige, but this was not a problem. And right now, he was looking at the big celebrity, Qing Yutong. Just now when Qing Yutong walked in, he was still dumbstruck. Why would the big celebrity, Qing Yutong, come here? So she is actually Qingye's younger sister, born from the second wife, Zihan. Now that he saw Qing Yutong in person, he was simply too happy. Her temperament was otherworldly and refined, just like a fairy. She wore a white long dress, revealing a small portion of her lotus-like arms, her beautiful hair that was as soft and smooth as a waterfall, her beautiful eyes that had a clear distinction between black and white were extremely clear, just like spring water, not containing the slightest bit of impurities. Her elegant sitting posture reflected her good upbringing, and the curves that were revealed were even more alluring. Her figure even more so made people's heart beat faster, wishing that they could immediately kneel down and lick her thighs. From head to toe, not a single flaw could be found. She is simply the best among women. No, this is already at the fairy level. Chapter 21. Outyan. Qing Qingren called out once again, but there wasn't any displeasure on his face. Only then did Long Outyan come back to his senses. He apologized, Grandpa Qing, I'm sorry, I was too surprised. Yutong is too beautiful. As Qing Yutong's mother, Zihan said tenderly, Outyen is so talented, but it is a pity that our Yutong doesn't have this fortune. Long Outyen was elated. Mother-in-law, don't stand on ceremony. I, Long Outyen, can accept all of them. Qing Yutong took a glance at this man with contempt, then let out a ridiculing cold snort. This expression, this cold snort, is simply too similar to Qingya. Oh right, Ao Tian, why didn't you come back with Qingya? Wang Muqing asked concernedly. It must be said that Qingya's father, Qing Huaxian, has very good eyesight. His two wives are very beautiful, and even at this age, as long as they dress up a bit, when they go out, they will definitely look like sisters. With just a look, one can tell that Qing Huaxian is a man who knows how to enjoy. Long Outyen paused for a moment. Qingya has been busy with work recently, so she asked me to accompany you guys first. She will be arriving soon. I saw big sister coming over with a man. Qing Yutong suddenly said, causing Long Outyen's expression to darken. Qing Huashuan's gaze sunk, man. Yeah, he's not bad looking, more handsome than him. Qing Yutong pointed at Long Outyen and said. The latter even had the heart to kill someone. I am the fairy doctor, my left hand can cure people, and my right hand can kill people. Who dares to steal Long Outyen's woman? You're even more handsome than me. All of you must die. Wang Muqing's face immediately became cold. This point of hers was inherited from her mother. Outyen, don't worry, Qingya, this child is very stubborn, I don't know where she hired this actress from. Long Outyen thought to himself, it better be an actor, or else. What did you say? Yaya brought my grandson-in-law back, where is he? An old granny could be seen shouting excitedly, and looking left and right. She was precisely Qingya's grandmother, Mei Xuanshuang. Mei Xuanshuang had severe senile dementia, and sometimes, she would even mistake her husband, Qing Qingren, and only remember her two granddaughters in her heart. Grandma's words were like a few sharp swords that pierced Long Outyen's heart. My grandson-in-law is sitting right in front of you, and you're actually asking where he is. However, Grandma's Alzheimer's disease was too serious. She couldn't cure it immediately and had to be nursed slowly. You're lying. You didn't see it at all. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Long Outyen almost turned into a porcupine. Mom, Qingya's fiancé is sitting right in front of you. Wang Muqing said while supporting her mother. Impossible, my grandson-in-law isn't as ugly as him. Mei Xuanshuang pursed her lips and said with disdain. Long Outyen's face turned green. What was going on today? He was the main character today. This must be a test from the heavens. I can't be angry, smile, smile. Mei Xuanshuang couldn't stand it anymore. Who are you? Why are you smiling so ugly? Pfft, Qing Yutong let out a series of tender laughter. Grandma is truly formidable, killing people without spilling blood. Zihan glared at her daughter. She was still laughing at this time. Qing Qingren said embarrassedly, Outyen, don't mind it, you also know about my wife's illness. Long Outyen forced a smile and said, Grandpa Qing, don't worry, I'll definitely cure Grandma. Qing Qingren was very gratified. With such a grandson-in-law, he could also feel a lot more at ease. Qing Yutong could be seen arriving behind her grandmother, then said tenderly, Grandmother, I just saw big sister's man, he is extremely handsome. Really? Mei Xuanshuang asked happily like a child. Of course, when did Yutong ever lie to you? Mei Xuanshuang said joyfully, that's great, Yutong, when are you two going to give birth to a little grandson for Grandma? Everyone immediately became silent, even Wang Muqing also laughed for a bit. Brother-in-law has to be willing first. Qing Yutong said straightforwardly, causing everyone to be dumbstruck once again, especially Long Outyen. What the hell? What kind of plot is this? Qing Huaxian shouted coldly, Qing Yutong. What are you saying? Look at your current moral conduct. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have allowed you to mingle in the entertainment circle. Qing Yutong spread out her hands and said disapprovingly, Dad, since you can marry too, why can't other people marry too? Scoundrel. Say it one more time. Qing Huaxian was so angry that his face turned red. Towards him having 2 wives and 2 daughters, the number of times he returned home in a year could be counted with one hand. Yutong, your dad is already angry, speak less. Zihan reprimanded her daughter. This kind of scene would happen every time they met. Long Outyan felt that what Qing Yutong said was right. A man with ability should have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Isn't father-in-law the same as well? Qing Qingren shouted gravely, speak less. This time, I asked you 2 to come back for a meal. I should be happy, and not to listen to you 2 quarrel. Every family has their own difficulties. Qing family was the same as well. Outyan, don't take offense. Qing Qingren said to Long Outyan with a smile. This child is much more sensible now. I can understand, I can understand. Long Outyan said humbly. Only a man understands a man, to obtain a favorable impression from Qing Huaxian. If Qing Huaxian were to know that this Long Outyan was having ideas on his 2 daughters, who knows if he would still have such thoughts. Qing Yutong muttered in a low voice, men are all the same. Right at this moment, the door of the living room was pushed open, and Yi Hua and Qing Ya's figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes, causing them to be dumbstruck. My grandson-in-law is here, my grandson-in-law is here. Mei Xuanshuang could be seen shouting loudly, pulling everyone back from their shock. The atmosphere was filled with awkwardness, as if it was going to solidify. Yi Hua looked at the big family indifferently. Hearing the words that the old granny shouted out, he wished that he could throw a magic spell over. Grandson-in-law. You are thinking too much. Under everyone's astonished gaze, Qing Yu brought Yi Hua to the center of the living room and introduced, he is called Yi Hua, he is my husband. Hello, brother-in-law. Without waiting for everyone to come back to their senses, Qing Yutong immediately jumped out and was the first to acknowledge Yi Hua's identity. Because she wanted to see her father's angry look, it would be best if it was the kind where he flipped out. Yi Hua sized up Qing Yutong for a bit. She was not as excited as I thought she would be. She was very different from how she looked on the screen. Although her figure was not bad, the way she dressed was lacking a bit of charm. This point of Qing Yu was better than her. If she had asked for it herself, I might have given her a chance, which is also a kind of affirmation towards her. Qing Yutong could see disdain from this man's eyes, and even pity could be seen. Damn! What is this situation? This man is even more awesome than that Long Outyan. Qing Yu, do you know what you are saying? Wang Muqing stood up and shouted. This daughter of mine is becoming more and more impudent. She really invited an actor to our house. Qing Qingren looked at Long Outyan, who had an ashen face, and said with a smile, Outyan, Qing Yu is just joking, don't mind her. Chapter 22. Don't worry, Grandpa Qing. I know what I'm doing. Long Outyan said generously. It seemed like he didn't take it to heart at all. Qing Qingren laughed out loud and said, as expected of the old dragon's grandson, impressive. Qing Yu, look at Outyan, look at how sensible he is. You are the only one who is playing tricks. Wang Muqing reprimanded. Zihan also followed up and said, that's right, Qing Yu, Outyan is such a good child, why don't you feel anything? As Qing Yu's father, Qing Huaxian was already angered to the point that he was speechless. As long as I see my 2 daughters, my heart disease will definitely come out. Luckily, Long Outyan cured my heart disease. Qing Yu didn't seem to intend to reveal her little king and big king, and while looking at her little sister, she said with a smile, it just so happens that little sister has returned. Grandpa, how about letting little sister marry Long Outyan? Qing Yutong went into a daze, and her pretty face immediately became one of grievance. As expected of a movie empress. Sis, you can't do this. You jumped out of the fire pit, and you let your sister jump into it. Why don't we swap? Give me brother-in-law, and you can be with Long Outyen. Long Outyen almost vomited blood. You! How dare you humiliate me like this? This is unforgivable. Enough! Qing Huaxian slammed onto the table and shouted. Family scandal. A family scandal. Huaxian. The two wives called out worriedly. At this moment, Mei Xuanshuang walked over to Yi Hua's side with her walking stick and said in satisfaction, Young man, you are really handsome, you have to treat Qingya well in the future. Mei Xuanshuang pulled Qing Yutong who was at the side over to Yi Hua, then placed Qing Yutong's tender and small hands onto Yi Hua's big hands. You two live well, Grandma has high hopes for you too. There was complete silence. Long Outyen's face started to turn pale. This man did not even say a single word the moment he entered the room. Instead, he held the hands of his two future wives. This was unacceptable. No. This man wanted her to act cool. There would definitely be a turn for the better later. He must have exposed his plot, and then they would look at him in a different light, and from there, walk to the top. Mu Qing, help Mom into the room to rest. Qing Huaxian could not take it anymore, things are getting more and more messy. Wang Muqing and Zishuan immediately supported their old mother and left, while Mei Xuanshuang kept reminding them, you must live well, Grandma will come back later. Qingya looked at Yi Hua and her little sister very unhappily and said in a low voice, what are you two doing? Hurry up and let go. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth, Grandma did it, not me. The human world is truly very complicated, what kind of matter can't be solved with force? On the other hand, this sister-in-law of his was rather interesting. Yi Hua asked faintly, what do you mean by drawing circles on my palm just now? Right now, even Qingya was stupefied. Not only Qingya, even Qing Yutong was stupefied. He actually said it. She just wanted to tease this brother-in-law and let her sister know that men couldn't resist temptation. In the end, this man didn't play by the rules and instantly betrayed her. Long Outyen's face turned from white to red. He thought to himself, there's definitely going to be a reversal. There's definitely going to be one later. Fortunately, Qing Yutong was quick-witted, and she hurriedly explained, actually, what I wanted to ask is, when are you two getting married? And how are the preparations for the wedding rings going? You don't have to worry about that. Qingya replied faintly. How can I not worry about my sister's wedding? Don't you think so, brother-in-law? On the other hand, Qing Yutong was rather lively. Yi Hua had only seen the Qing Yutong on the screen before, she was a bit cold and aloof. I didn't expect that the contrast between the Qing Yutong and Qing Yutong in reality would be so big, causing Yi Hua to be very disappointed. Indeed, you don't have to worry about it. Yi Hua replied faintly. F***ck, this brother-in-law is really not giving me any face at all. On the other hand, Qingya felt great. Seems like Yi Hua is on my side, he can still be considered as a man. Qing Qingren coughed lightly and said, all right, stop acting, since you are here, you are a guest, eat a meal first before leaving. Qing family was, after all, a prestigious family, they still had the necessary etiquette. Those who come are guests, as long as they don't do anything out of line, eating a meal is nothing. Furthermore, this man might have been forced here by Qingya. Qingya didn't explain anything, it seemed like she had a deeper intention, this made everyone think that Qingya had given up on resisting. However, Qing Yutong didn't think that way, she understood her big sister very well. Sometimes, she is indeed very obedient, but when she is stubborn, even 10 Thanos wouldn't be able to defeat her. Since she brought this man here, she definitely has a backup plan, just that she doesn't need to use it now. Looking at everyone's reaction, they all eased up, especially Long Outyen. I suddenly feel that this man is really pitiful, being played around by Big Sister. I reckon that when Big Sister uses her big move, this Long Outyen will be carried away by 120 people. Big Sister's bad habit of acting cool still hasn't changed. Yihua also didn't want to say too much and waste the oxygen in the air. Brother-in-law, what is your zodiac sign? In order to test her big sister, Qing Yutong took the initiative to attack. Yihua sat on the sofa and put on the posture of a big boss. Hearing Qing Yutong's question, he replied faintly, childish. Qing Ye, who was sitting on the opposite of him, laughed. This man will hit you until you have nothing good in you. I didn't expect that the woman that I fancied would actually ask such a question. She is simply even more stupid than Qing Ye. And to think that I wanted to give her a knight, seems like there is no need for that anymore. Indeed, you are rather childish. Qing Ye didn't forget to hit Yihua. Qing Yutong was angered to the point that her face was completely red. After snorting, she sat at the side and didn't speak anymore. Long Outyen straightened his collar. It's my turn now. This man will become my tool to act cool. This is how all the novels come about. How much did Qing Ye spend to hire you? Long Outyen asked curiously. Qing Ye peeled a tangerine and gave half of it to her grandfather. Qing Qingren thought that his granddaughter had thought things through and took the tangerine, then said petulantly, it's fine to just anger Outyen, don't go overboard. Grandfather, I know what I am doing. Qing Ye smiled slightly. This made Qing Qingren feel at ease. Granddaughter is sensible. Meanwhile, Yihua was very unhappy. As my own woman, she actually peeled a fruit for another man to eat. Even if it's your grandfather. Taking out a cigarette and lighting it up, this action made Qing Qingren and Qing Huashuan's brows wrinkle. This man is a bit arrogant. Looking at how Yihua is acting cool, Long Outyen laughed. To actually put on the posture of a big boss in Qing family and even smoke, looking at Grandpa Qing and father-in-law's expression, I reckon that they want to throw him out. What did you say just now? Yihua asked faintly. Long Outyen had seen people who can act cool before, but he had never seen someone who can act cool like this. This posture of a big boss is something that even I don't dare to do in Qing family. Qing Ye hired you to anger me, right? Long Outyen asked again. N number of ways to get rid of him appeared in Yihua's mind. Do you think that you are playing house? Childish. Yihua spat out a mouthful of smoke and said faintly. Qing Ye ate the tangerine, looked at Yihua who was acting cool, and said with a smile, indeed, you are rather childish. Yihua looked at Qing Ye and said coldly, I am talking about you. Chapter 23. Qing Ye's expression turned cold. This fellow wants to stir up trouble. I will endure it for now. Qing Qingren shook his head. I really can't stand this youngster's way of chatting. Huaxian, let's go out and have a chat. It's stuffy here. Okay, Dad. Qing Huaxian said unhappily, if not for my daughter bringing him here, I would have chased him out long ago. This is too presumptuous. In an instant, there were only 4 people left in the living room. Long Outyen sneered, what benefits did give you to make you work so hard for her? To be honest, Yihua didn't want to answer such a stupid question, you ask her yourself. Qing Yutong went into a daze, this man is really interesting, where did big sister find such a weirdo? Oh, I bought him for a lifetime. Qing Ye seemed very calm, as if she bought a dog. This arrogant woman, she still wants to buy me for a lifetime. If not for the child in your stomach, I would have Long Outyen laughed sinisterly, since you all are not willing to speak, then I can only use force. Needle of telling the truth. The specialty of this needle was that it was silent, even if it was shot on one's penis, one would not be able to detect it. Furthermore, it was colorless and odorless, it was an essential medicine for running away from home. Long Outyen could be seen swinging his index and middle finger, and a silver needle pierced towards Yihua. At this moment, Yihua wanted to explode this man's head. This man actually dared to plot against me, but after thinking about it, I can't kill anyone. If I kill him, 5 years of hard work will all go to waste. But this man actually knew some tricks. This made Yihua a bit surprised. The feeling of novelty came again. The silver needle in the air suddenly reflected back, just like the bullet that night. Long Outyen didn't even know what happened, because this needle of telling the truth was not able to be felt by others. He laughed in his heart, I am going to expose your ugly face soon. Ha, there will be a day when I, Long Outyen, will have the most beautiful women in the world, including the two of you. At that time, I will set up a harem, and every night, I will flip the cards, ha 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 ha, I am 2F** king outstanding, let me put my hands on my waist. Long Outyen said passionately, as if he was the number one in the world. Pervert. Pervert. Qing Yutong and Qing Yutong said angrily. I didn't expect this Long Outyen to be even more arrogant than Yi Hua, to actually want me and my sister to be a part of his harem, go and die. Long Outyen was stupefied, what is going on with me, my mouth is not listening to me. Let me tell you, it's your fortune that I, Long Outyen, have taken a liking to all of you. I'm the little fairy doctor, do you know what the little fairy doctor is? Long Outyen hurriedly covered his mouth. How could he reveal his biggest secret to Ling Yun? Could it be the needle of truth? That's not right. I shot it out just now. Why am I telling the truth? I can't say it anymore. He definitely couldn't say it again. His impression of him was completely gone. Who was the one playing tricks? Was it this handsome man? Impossible. Could it be that he had a problem throwing the needle? That should be the case. Qing Ye and Qing Yutong took a look at each other. There is something wrong with this man's brain. Yi Hua silently smoked his cigarette. Long Outyen. His name was resounding, but the person was a little silly. Long Outyen said, I'm not stupid. Qing Ye, Zhu Zi. Yi Hua said faintly. He was still very concerned about Zhu Zi's question. Qing Ye said in disdain, don't you have hands? Brother-in-law, do you want to eat oranges? Let me help you peel them. Qing Yutong deftly picked up the orange and started planning something in her mind. Qing Ye snorted coldly. She looked as if she didn't mind, but her eyes kept drifting away. Long Outyen covered his mouth. He wanted to say something, but he was afraid that he would say something carelessly again. Brother-in-law, here, an international superstar personally peeled an orange, TSK TSK TSK, it can definitely be sold for a sky-high price. And looking at her big sister's expression, Qing Yutong seemed to feel that there was something fishy going on between the two of them. Learn more. Yi Hua took over the orange and said to Qing Ye. Big sister, did you hear that? Learn more. Long Outyen couldn't take it anymore, enough. I, Long Outyen, am the main character, all of you are mine. Mine. At this time, Qing Qingren and Qing Huaxian walked in and asked gravely, what's going on? What is mine? Qing Yutong's eyes could be seen turning red. She stood up and pounced into her grandfather's embrace and said with grievance, Grandfather, this Long Outyen is still not satisfied with big sister and still wants Yutong to be his woman, he is too much of a bully. Qing Ye smiled, this little sister is still the same as when she was young, she still likes to play tricks on people. Yi Hua silently looked at Qing Yutong's performance. Is this little Long Outyen worth shedding tears for, childish? Outyen, what's going on? Seeing that his daughter was so wronged, as the father, Qing Huaxian immediately questioned. Long Outyen, woo. Qing Qingren also felt that the Long Outyen today was very strange and said gravely, Outyen, how can you speak when you are covering your mouth? Stupid. Qing Ye said coldly. Long Outyen's eyes were completely bloodshot. Why did it become like this? Shouldn't I be the one to beat down this pretentious man and then obtain the elders' applause and the beauty's admiration? Why did everything change? That's not it. Long Outyen shouted out. Seems like the effect is already over. Just what is going on? Qing Qingren asked gravely. Although Long Outyen was indeed a pretty good young man, if his moral character was bad, I still have to reconsider. Long Outyen hurriedly explained, Grandpa Qing, it's not what you think, we were just joking just now, I'm really sorry. Yutong took it seriously. Qingye crossed her arms in front of her chest and sneered, I dare to say it, but I don't dare to admit it. That's right. Qing Yutong agreed. These two women were currently facing a common enemy, and thus temporarily formed an alliance. Long Outyen suddenly had a bright idea and said apologetically, I was wrong, I admit my mistake. Qing Qingren and Qing Huaxian more or less understood the situation, seems like it was these two girls who were causing trouble again. All right, the meal is about to start. Qing Qingren smiled benevolently. In actuality, he was still very fond of this grandson-in-law of his. Qingye stood up and did not say anything, while Qing Yutong looked at her big sister and felt that there would definitely be a good show to watch later on. Long Outyen stared at Yihua. This man is too ruthless, I wonder where Qingye found this actor from. This Demon King's aura is quite good, just by sitting there and smoking, I feel that it is very pretentious. Perhaps, I can also imitate it a bit. Qingye held onto Yihua's arm and walked towards the dining hall with the others. This action made the elders very unhappy, and Long Outyen almost wanted to throw out another, tell the truth needle. I have never enjoyed this kind of treatment before, and that man actually has such an indifferent appearance, he is too good at acting. If it wasn't for me not having mastered throwing needles, today would be your doomsday. Chapter 24. Yihua casually sized up the book. This is a bit interesting, he actually bought a fake book. Qingye also saw the painting. This painting was exactly the same as the painting that was hung in Yihua's bedroom, it was Picasso's, Boy with a Tobacco Pipe. Long Outyen chuckled. It was finally his turn. Grandpa Qing was so nice, creating an opportunity for him to act cool. Long Outyen observed the oil painting carefully and exclaimed, could this be Picasso's work? Proud heaven really is amazing. Qing Qingren was very satisfied, and when he sneaked a glance at his eldest granddaughter, he discovered that she did not have any reaction at all. Long Outyen continued, this painting was created in 1905, and it was one of Picasso's masterpieces from the Rose period. It was even praised by critics as being as mysterious as Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. In the end, it was auctioned in London for a whopping $100 million. Qing Huaxian smiled. Son-in-law is also a person who has seen a lot of things. Qing Qingren smiled to the point that his eyes had narrowed into a slit, and praised, seems like Outyen's understanding towards oil painting is very deep, it is very rare for youngsters nowadays to have this kind of ability. Long Outyen felt extremely good, as if he could already see the two beautiful sisters looking at him with worship in their eyes. I don't deserve to be called Outyen, I only know a little about it. However, paintings like this are getting more and more expensive nowadays, I wonder how much Grandpa Qing paid for it. Not much, just 150 million. Long Outyen was shocked in his heart. This Qing family is too rich, isn't it? A painting that is worth more than 100 million is hung in the hallway, doesn't that mean that I will be lying in a pile of money in the future? Just thinking about it made him excited. Looking at that man's dumbfounded expression, it was likely that he had never seen something so expensive before. Mr. Yi, what do you think? Long Outyen asked with a smile. Evidently, he wanted to make a fool of Yihua. I reckon that Yihua has never seen such a painting before, right? If Yihua is unable to say anything about it, he would be losing a lot of face. Qingye went into a daze, thinking to herself, Yihua wouldn't be lying, right, it's fake. After Yihua finished speaking, everyone went into a daze, including Qingye and Qing Yutong. Long Outyen was secretly delighted. Keep up the act. You've gone overboard, saying it's fake, ha ha ha. Yihua, don't speak nonsense. Qingye pulled onto the corner of Yihua's shirt and said in a low voice. Grandpa himself loves to collect famous paintings, and yet, you actually said that those paintings are fake, Grandpa will be very unhappy. This is not a good thing for Grandpa in the future. It must be said that Qingye had already thought very far ahead. Right now, we are already husband and wife, and we even have a child. Could it be that in the future, we are really going to divorce and let our child become a single-parent family? Qingye can't bear to let our child grow up in this kind of environment. Perhaps, it's fine if I suffer a bit of loss myself. In any case, I also need to find a husband. Although Yihua likes to be a big boss, his heart is still considered to be good. He donated until he only has 2 RMB left. Mr. Yi, why do you say that? Long Outyen asked hurriedly, because Qing Chengren's face had already darkened. Yihua really wanted to send this ant flying with a slap. Truly long-winded. However, I can't make a move. Later on, I'll let Lai Gu or Wei Chang do it. If I make a move myself, the consequences will be unimaginable. Yihua was too lazy to explain, Qingye knows. Everyone looked towards the adorable Qingye. Qingye was having a headache. To actually drag me down with him, I have never seen such a bad man before. Big sister, you also think that this is fake? Qing Yutong asked curiously. Qingye knew that her little sister was going to hit her when she was down, and the friendship that was just formed immediately collapsed. There is also a painting hanging in Yihua's bedroom. At this time, I can only help Yihua. Could it be that I still have to say that Yihua is in the wrong? Yihua was a bit surprised. When this woman saw the painting in my bedroom, she did not have this kind of expression. However, looking at her current expression, it is still not bad. It has a bit of flavor. Long Outyen laughed. Qing Qingren and Qing Huaxian also laughed, shook their heads and did not say anything, then continued walking towards the dining hall. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. Big sister's condition today is a bit problematic. Isn't she being too protective of that man? Wrong. Bedroom. Big sister has been to this man's bedroom before. My God. Qingye slowed down her footsteps and said in a low voice, Yihua, later on when we are eating, I beg you to not speak carelessly. Can you listen to me? Ignorant woman. Promise me a condition. Yihua said indifferently. You. Qingye's lungs were about to explode from anger, to actually raise a condition with me. Speak. Qingye, who had no other choice, decided to admit defeat for the time being. After listening to Yihua's condition, Qingye scolded Yihua for being shameless to the extreme, to actually ask me to do that kind of thing. Bastard, give me an inch and take a foot. Enduring the pain in her heart, Qingye said coldly, all right, I promise you, if you dare to speak carelessly again, relax, I will do what I said. As if I would believe you. Qing family's dining hall was also extraordinarily big. The people who were cooking were all top chefs in the country, and there were even maids serving at the side. This was simply the life of an emperor. Yihua was a bit rueful, thinking back then, I also lived like this. I didn't expect that the more I live, whether I am advancing or retreating, I am already unclear. This utensil is even a product from Europe, and looking at the design, it is even a product of the royal family. This Qing family is indeed rich to a certain extent. Wang Muqing and Zihan supported the old lady Mei Xuanshuang and walked out, and upon seeing Yihua, Mei Xuanshuang could be seen shouting, grandson-in-law, when are you going to have a child with Yutong? Grandma is still waiting to carry a great-grandson. Yihua did not speak. If that woman wants to obtain my bloodline, she has to go and train her temperament again. Not every woman is able to obtain my favor. Qingye being able to get pregnant is just an accident. Grandma, he is my brother-in-law. Even Qing Yutong was a bit unable to take it anymore, let alone the others. Qing Yutong could only smile awkwardly. The old lady's illness was just like that. Qing Qingren sat on the main seat and said with a smile, everyone, sit down and eat. Yihua thought back in his mind, how many years has it been since I sat on a lower seat? I didn't expect that it was all because of this stupid woman. If this scene were to be spread out, it would be terrible. At that time, I can only kill her to silence her. Without a doubt, Qingye sat beside Yihua, to prevent Yihua from speaking nonsense. This man is truly a man that makes others worry. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong sat at the other side of Yi Hua. This brother-in-law is really interesting, I feel that he has big sister in his grasp. Long Outyan sat opposite of Yi Hua and Qingya, and his expression was a bit bad. Why is that man able to have beautiful women on his left and right, and yet, there isn't any at my side? Wang Muqing could tell that Long Outyan was in a bad mood, thus she glared at her daughter and said, Qingya, accompany Outyan and sit. Mom, I am a woman with a husband, how can I sit together with another man? Yi Hua will get angry. Qingya said calmly. Qing Huaxian shouted out gravely, enough. Even if you are acting, there must be a limit. Qingya pouted her mouth, did not explain, did not get up either, in any case, she just did not move. Chapter 25. Yutong, how long do you plan to stay this time? Zihan asked concernedly, her daughter was not at home for a long time, she missed her a lot. Qing Yutong spread out her hands, I have already gotten the Oscar, I don't have any more pursuits, I have decided to retire and enjoy life. Qing Huaxian was very gratified, you should have done this long ago, come to Dad's company. I don't want to go, even if I am going to go. I want to go to Big Sister's company, what do you think, Big Sister? Qing Yutong really planned to retire from the entertainment circle this time, she was a woman who liked challenges, the moment she got the Oscar, she decided to retire from the entertainment circle. Up to you. Qingya said indifferently. Long Outyan felt that his chance had come, Qing Yutong would definitely be one of his harem, upon thinking that he would be able to sleep with the movie queen, the hair on his body all stood up. Qing Qingren suddenly thought of something and reminded, recently, Long and City is a bit chaotic, Yaya, Yutong, you two pay attention. Grandpa, what's wrong, did something happen? Qing Yutong asked curiously, after all, she just came back today. An international hitman died last night. Qing Qingren said unhurriedly. Qingya wrinkled her brows, where did he die? It seems to be on the building opposite of Hejiang River. Opposite of Hejiang River, I and Yi Hua were still taking a stroll there last night. Qingya wrinkled her brows and took a look at Yi Hua. Where does Mr. Yi work? Qing Qingren asked. Qingya hurriedly said, Yi Hua opened a bar by himself. Qing Yutong went into a daze, the boss of a bar, this plot is not bad. Wang Muqing and Zihan were a bit displeased, it seems like they do not have a good impression of someone who opens a bar, why would their daughter mix around with someone who opens a bar? Long Outyan mocked, opening a bar is not bad, it has a bright future, there must be a lot of beauties at the bar, right? Yi Hua decided, I must definitely slap this fly to death. Long Outyan, don't think that I don't know what you are doing in the company, what is going on between you and the director of HR? Qingya questioned coldly. Long Outyan was startled, how did she know about this matter? I indeed have an affair with the director of HR, that woman is indeed very charming, and speaking about me, I also conquered her with my charm. Qingya, you misunderstood, it's nothing. Long Outyan hurriedly explained, I'm sure that she found out that I went to her house. Qingya sneered and said to her family, this is the person that you all fancied? Not even a week after coming to the company, and he already had an affair with the HR department's director. You are truly capable, to be able to swindle the HR department's director even though you are just a security guard. You are truly worthy of being called the fairy doctor, hugging a beauty with both hands. The gazes of the Qing family were all focused on Long Outyan, as if they wanted to verify whether this matter was true or not. Qingya, you've misunderstood. Ai Bihan is a single mother, what's wrong with me helping her? Isn't the slogan of the company uniting as one? I didn't expect it to cause such a misunderstanding. I don't care about it as a man, but what will others think of Ai Bihan? Isn't this forcing her to resign? Long Outyan's words were very impassioned and passionate. Portraying himself as a super good man and saying that Qingya was an unreasonable person, Long Outyan still had brains. Qingya, how can you treat your subordinates like this? Qing Huaxian said unhappily. Qing Group and Qingya's Qing City International were separated, but Qing Huaxian had been taught since young that one must treat one's subordinates well, only then would he be able to repay you. Qingya was a smart woman, since she couldn't take out any evidence right now, everything she said would be in vain. Qingya was even more certain that she was being unreasonable. Big sister, Long Outyen is really playing dirty tricks right under your nose? He is too arrogant. Qing Yutong felt injustice for her big sister, but who knows if what she said was true or false. Qing Yutong's mother, Zihan reminded, Yutong, speak less. Qing Qingren seemed to be a bit irritated, all right, speak less and eat, serve the dishes. Yi Hua, on the other hand, had an indifferent look on his face. He was not interested in this kind of small matter at all, but he was a bit curious about the following dishes. Delicious dishes were served one after another, and with a single glance, Yi Hua took a fancy to that bowl of crayfish. Qingya was immediately startled. I feel that this fellow is going to put on airs again, and immediately said in a low voice, I'll help you get it. And that crab? Yi Hua said indifferently. Qingya was angered to the point of laughing. Just you wait, one day, I will definitely take revenge on you. The following scene made everyone's jaws drop. Qingya, this strong woman, actually didn't eat the crayfish herself, and instead helped this man to eat the crayfish first, and she even had a smile on her face. Is this still the Qingya from before? Qing Qingren was stupefied, Qing Huaxian was stupefied, Wang Muqing was dumbfounded, Zihan was stupefied, Qing Yutong had a face full of shock, and on the other hand, old lady Mei Xuanshuang had a face full of smiles. Long Outyen held on to the chopsticks, and the veins on the back of his hand bulged out by a bit. What right does this man have to let Qingya peel the crayfish for him, and furthermore, he doesn't even have a bit of gratitude in his heart, as if it is something that should be done. Qing Qingren felt that something was wrong. If it was an actor that was hired by his granddaughter, he definitely wouldn't act like this. That expression of him peeling the crayfish even had the intention of fawning. What is going on with his granddaughter? Wang Muqing couldn't take it anymore and said gravely, Qingya, peel a few for Outyen as well. He isn't worthy. Qingya placed the peeled crayfish meat into Yi Hua's bowl, and Yi Hua calmly picked up his chopsticks and picked up the crayfish meat. Everything was so harmonious. Under the table, both of Long Outyen's fists were tightly clenched. No matter where I go, I will be respected by people, and only today is the day of humiliation. Qing Huaxian was already unable to suppress his anger anymore as he shouted, Qingya, you better make things clear today. Qingya wiped her hands, then took out a red booklet from her bag and directly threw it onto the table. Without waiting for everyone to react, Qing Yutong immediately snatched the booklet over and cried out in surprise, Big sister. You really got married? This can't be fake, right? Qing Qingren wrinkled his brows and said gravely, Qingya, what does this marriage certificate mean? It means what it means on the surface. Qingya appeared to be very calm. She had imagined this kind of situation countless of times in her mind. Once again, Qingya took out another marriage certificate from her bag and threw it onto the table. This is a combo, to catch the enemy unprepared. Qingya did not become a cool and elegant CEO for nothing. Qing Yutong still snatched the booklet over, and her beautiful eyes revealed out shock. This time, Big sister is playing big, right? Wang Muqing took the booklet over, and after she finished looking at it, her expression was the same as Qing Yutong's, as if she was struck by lightning. After everyone finished looking at it, the scene immediately became quiet, and the air seemed to have frozen. Qingya actually got married with this man, and even had a child. My God! Long Outyen's expression was even more colorful. He was completely unable to accept this kind of ending. How can it be possible for Qingya to have a child? All of these are fake. How can I possibly be cuckolded? I am Long Outyen. Qingya, tell me, is all of these fake or not? All of these are made by you to anger me? Long Outyen was still struggling. His ordinary face was distorted to the point that it was a little scary. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.